All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Wait.
It's episode 18.
Come on, man. We gotta get some intro in
No,
this.
we don't.
Yes, we do.
Well, this is the intro. Go.
This is not
okay,
the
yay.
intro. Jesus
You don't like the
Christ.
music I put together.
I didn't say that.
You don't like anything else.
I didn't say that either.
Episode 18 of Almost in Agreement. It is 7-Eleven, bitches. So we're not going 24 hours, so don't worry about that side of it. But
And we don't sell beer and alcohol.
I find it interesting that last week we tried to put together a 4th of July, getting everybody together, getting all the families together and stuff, and couldn't pull it off. And then a week later, on accident, we now have everybody that's supposed to be here for the 4th of July without any preparation.
I had to feed Mayor Kane, you know.
That's true. Tell us about that as far as, I guess he was the one nay on the mask conversation, but apparently also one of many that didn't bother.
There was nobody that wore masks at that event. And the funny thing is, like, he showed up by himself, open carrying, which is badass. Like, he had his pistol on his side. He didn't have an entourage or bodyguards. I was like, that's a bad motherfucker.
I mean, is there any real threat in Knoxville?
I was gonna say he may not. I mean, he may be a bad motherfucker, but at least 49% of that is rhetoric.
Have you not?
But not 51.
Have you not watched WWE?
I have, but he had a mask on then for some reason.
Yeah. And so, now you
the
know who he is. He's scary.
That's the ironic part. Is like he'll wear the mask if he's getting paid.
You know what's funny is
like there's a fucking pandemic. And
All right,
he's
I'm
like,
okay.
nah, I'm Wyatt Earp, motherfucker. I don't need a fucking mask.
No, this is the funny thing is like at this event they had some like Civil War reenactment people walking around, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dressed. I don't know. I don't know if who was the the North and the South or whatever. And this little girl,
the blue was the North, the gray was the South. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, but it's back then they didn't have real colors, so blue looks like gray and gray looks like blue.
Everything was in black and white.
Exactly. How do you tell the difference? So they had this little girl came up. She was probably like 6-7 years old, blazing red hair, and I said, "Did you see Kane over there?" She's like, "Yeah, I got his autograph." And I was like, "That's pretty cool." I was like, "I can take him." She goes, "I don't think so." And I was like, "Do you not know I'm a wrestler?" She's like, "You're not a real wrestler." And I said, "I was one match away from the Olympics." And she goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "What's my name?" She's like, "Yeah, what's your wrestler name?" And I was like, "No, not like WWE wrestling, like real wrestling." And she goes, "Then you're not a real wrestler."
Wow.
Nice.
How old was she?
6-7 years old.
Did you say wrestler or wrestler?
Should have punched her in the
Oh,
face.
yeah, I body slammed her. She's hurting right now.
She's in ICU.
Taking up a bed for a COVID patient.
Like COVID patients. She's died because there's no beds.
Well, we talked about this a little bit, like in the group chat, as far as the non-necessaries are going to quickly become necessaries if we continue down this path. Because how long can you put off a quote elective surgery before it becomes a non-elective? And then we're now in the midst of a lot more volume of patients with COVID coming in. So when that non-elective that elective now turns non-elective, they got nowhere to put them. And that's kind of what's going on. I mean, that's my understanding of what you were trying to hint at.
Yeah, no, I mean that's it's a long-winded way of saying what I was trying to say, but yeah, that'll work. I mean,
but it makes sense. I mean, like my mom went to the hospital 3 nights ago. She's got all sorts of health problems
here locally.
Yeah, she went. Well, okay. She went to Tennova.
Okay. That may have been the first problem.
Yeah. Well, normally, like she's had some things before where she had to go, and like my sister, she always goes to your place, but my mom does not like that place because who knows what.
I understand.
So my mom went to hospital. Last time she went to hospital, they kept her overnight and kind of like monitor and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then this time when she went, and because her pulse rate just drops and she's about to pass out and something's wrong with her medicine or whatever. This time they like kept her for like 4 hours. Like, go home. Mm-hmm. Like in the past, they've always watched her overnight, but like now they're like, no, you're fine, go home. And I don't know if that's normal or is that because they don't want to take up beds, or I mean, it seems like the hospital in the past is they'll keep you if they can because they're about making money. And I hate to say this out front, but maybe they're now trying to be more like, it's not about making money, it's about taking care of people, and we don't want to take up those beds.
I would argue that at least where I am, I can't speak for Sonova. Where I am, we truly don't make decisions based on whether or not it's going to make the hospital money. I mean, if the lab values warrant somebody to stay with us, then they need to stay, and that's more of a liability thing than anything. You know, like if we say, "Hey, you're fine, go home," and then 45 minutes later, you're not even getting out of your vehicle, you're getting into your house, and you die. I mean, your family sues us for letting you out. So, there's not really
I'm saying not on. They send people home that don't need to be sent home. I'm saying, do they keep people that could be sent home? I was saying
prior to COVID,
Right.
yeah. I'm saying the opposite. Not that they're sending people home not thinking, but are they saying, oh, let's keep the person an extra day and get some more money out of them, even though we know they're okay. Not
Or
sending
even
somebody
playing
home.
or even playing it excessively cautiously or unnecessarily cautiously because they have the room to do so. And instead of now it's like, well, we don't have the room to keep you the night, even though we kind of like to, but we don't really need to. Is that being kind of the same
Yeah.
question in a less devious format?
So, two things. One thing that Ms. Spano had just mentioned is if you are discharged and readmitted for the same thing, the hospital has to eat that cost. The insurance does not. Does that make sense? So if you come in for shortness of breath, we send you home, say everything's fine after like 4 hours of tests. You come back 8 hours later for shortness of breath, and we realize, oh my God, you've got a PE. The hospital is stuck with that bill. Your insurance will not pay for that. So it's considered a readmission.
Well, when you say the insurance is not going to pay for that, they still charge the person for that?
No. The hospital is 100% liable for that.
So, like, for me, it's when I went and got my COVID test because I thought I was dying, which turned out to be just caffeine. Sounds pretty stupid, but
No, man. Listen.
WebMD follow. I mean, it tracks on
It's
WebMD.
either, right. It's either
caffeine
cancer
withdrawals.
or heart attack.
yeah, caffeine withdrawals.
I get it.
But when I went there, the VA, I have VA insurance, and so I went to the hospital rather than the VA because the VA was not seeing anybody. VA turned it down, my COVID test, because they said that was not life threatening.
Yeah, it's not medically necessary.
Not
That's the
medically
language.
necessary.
Yeah.
And so I got charged from Tenova $1,081 for a COVID test.
That reminds me of something.
Fucking insane.
It is insane. But going back to the original question, which was, are we making decisions based on whether or not we would make extra money? The answer to that would be no, because there's not a huddle of folks that are saying, hey, we could make some money off of Max because he has X insurance. Like, nobody's having that conversation in the back.
No,
somewhere.
but you can't deny that it didn't cost the hospital $1,000 to give me a COVID test.
I would say that in the capitalism system that we're in, I think they're in it to make money, and I think there's a large portion of that that's unfortunate. But to more directly answer your question, did it cost $1,000 to administer that test? No.
No.
But I also think that the wine they were drinking didn't actually, like that bottle of wine wasn't actually $14 to create either, and I think it's a similar thing. They're selling a product. I think it's unfortunate that the amount is jacked up as much as it is. I think that's what you're trying to imply.
Yes.
But I think
I guarantee your bottle of wine has less markup than the hospital.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the tests are not cheap. I mean, if you say it's 10 times as much, I mean, does it cost $2 to make that bottle of wine?
Well, I mean, when they charge $20 for an ibuprofen, when you can buy a bottle of ibuprofen for.
Well, so we don't charge $20 for a bottle of ibuprofen. So
no, not for a bottle, for 8 pills.
right. I'm trying to. So like the times that we give out medications, we can click and see how much the unit cost is, like how much we're actually charging insurance companies for that. Like, there's a way to look at that. And the acetaminophen is like 17 cents, like per pill, which is still a fairly high jacked up rate considering it's probably what, pennies,
Yeah.
really, but it's not $20.
So what do they?
I understand what
charge
you're
for?
saying. Like 17 cents, something like that. It's cheap.
Still, what do you think? What do you think it costs them to run a test? Oh, here's a good one. So, talking about tests,
Okay.
and COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So people are wearing masks because what we're breathing in our mouths is highly contagious, right?
Mhm.
Like, then why do they have to stick a Q-tip into the back of my skull to get a
Well, it's not the
COVID
back
test?
of your skull. Just to be
I mean,
fair.
it might be.
front of
It's
He-
not.
He might
The
have a
front of
cavity.
your
as well.
It's.
I mean, it's not. But I
I
mean,
had a COVID test.
I administer them all the time.
Have you had one?
I-
Have you had one? It's the back of your skull. It's the
is
Q-tip is
perceived.
poking out the back of your
I
head.
feel bad that you don't have anything in your head. Then. Like,
so.
I feel bad as your friend that you have nothing upstairs
So
at all.
the point is, they have to stick that thing so far back
I'm
in your
aware.
skull
Yes,
to get that test.
correct.
Why can they not swab the mouth? If it's so contagious in my mouth that if I breathe out, somebody's going to get it, why can they not swab our mouth?
So it's not just is it being aerosolized with my mouth, and the mask is also like these are things that we're not talking about. The mask also keeps us from grabbing and fucking around with our nose and like touching shit. Like the mask is there. Typically, people don't pull the mask down, fuck around with their nose, play around with their mouth, play around with their beard, and then, well, you may do that, but I mean, even if it cuts down 40% of the people from doing that, that actually helps.
But still, if you're saying that touching your face and touching your mouth is highly contagious, then
I don't
why
wanna-
do they have to stick that Q-tip so far in your mouth? Why can they not just rub your lips?
Rub your lips is what you want to have happen.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
Well,
like
'cause-
if
okay.
it's that contagious, then
So-
why are they?
so-
why are we not rubbing our mouth? Like, why do you have to stick a Q-tip?
Can I
to
try
the
a
back of my-
non-medical answer?
I mean, I can give you an actual medical answer.
Yes,
if you-
I want that answer.
Okay.
So just like everything else, these things like dark spaces that are, completely away from environmental factors, period.
Moist.
And so I'm sorry,
Moist.
one more time.
Moist.
Okay.
So you got to stick it in my moist spot? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what we say.
So
The dark-
like you
dark
had,
moist
we,
spot.
we had, so to the 6.5 people that are listening and no longer our Bolivian listener, we had a conversation via text a couple days ago about, and Max was saying, listen, like if we have to have these precautions for COVID, why are we not having precautions for other viruses like flu and AIDS? Why are we not wearing masks for those things? And I'm like, well, we probably should wear masks for flu, and we do wear masks for AIDS. They're called fucking condoms. So, like, we are doing these things. It just depends on the rate of transmission or the method of transmission.
I still didn't get that tongue condom.
Missed the chance of that.
That's fair. Well, then I guess you have AIDS.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. What was the word we're looking for?
Moist.
There we go.
So you still have not answered why we cannot just test them out.
I think they're working.
I
on
just
that.
did. I mean, it is. So if you could get 90, if it's a 95%, let's just throw this number out there. If it's a very high probability that you can actually test positive by having it in, I guess, the back of your skull, as you put it, it's going to be significantly less if you have it on your lips. If you run the test on your lips, like the COVID viral particles are not actually just sort of hanging around on your lips, like
And
next
even
to
if
the
they
herpes.
are, that doesn't mean they've gotten into you. You could be so lucky and they land on your lip and it doesn't actually get into your system in enough volume, and so they could swab your lip and pull a positive that you've actually not inhaled it enough to actually be carrying it.
And the other thing is, it's actually replicating and mostly staying in your lungs. I mean, I don't know how deep in your skull
Your
like
lungs
your
are.
anatomy is.
It's
But
deep.
Is it?
It's very deep.
Are we talking about the same thing here? I'm just saying that it's less likely that you
Moist.
get to that, what he's saying. One more time.
Moist.
Can we not just go to rectal swabs?
I mean, you can
Is
if you
it-
want
is
to.
it- is
Are
it
we
there?
testing
It's
for
hard to do
COVID?
it.
Is that what we're doing? Or are
Yes.
we testing for something else?
And I'm
We can
getting,
test for anything if you want to. I mean, we could do a fecal occult test, and you could just shit on a stick. It's like a popsicle stick. You shit on it.
It just makes
true
drive-through
story.
testing a
Will that
lot
test
more
positive for
difficult.
That depends. I mean, if it's a full systemic infection, I'm not sure, man. If you shit enough on a popsicle stick, I'm sure you test positive for COVID. If you had COVID,
That's awesome.
it's
Okay.
probably not awesome if you're shitting on popsicle sticks.
I will shit on the popsicle.
Because I'm telling you,
stick.
if you're shitting on a popsicle stick, that popsicle stick is going to be very.
moist.
There we go.
no, is it
I
a
gotta
yeast
put that on
popsicle
file
stick,
now.
or-
So
You're gonna have to take it up to tongue depressor
Tongue
what
depressor.
size.
Is it tongue depressor or popsicle stick?
Yes.
now we could
Yes.
we could get the we could use the Waggles bag that your father-in-law used, and we
Yes.
could just take that whole bag in if we needed to.
Exactly.
So
What? I didn't hear this.
My father-in-law shit in Waggles bag.
Why?
you're not here for that one.
Nope.
So my Quick story. My father-in-law was living on my
You've
property.
all heard this story already, by the way.
Have you heard this? Okay.
He was living on my property, and he didn't have a bathroom because his house burned down. Living on my property in his RV. He didn't want to shit in his RV because he doesn't hook it up to plumbing, right?
Okay.
And he woke up and
Hold on. What month of the year was this?
like a month ago.
Okay, carry on. I'm sorry.
No,
And,
a little longer than that, but
Realized that his bowels were not working, and he could not make it in my house without shitting himself or waggles or whatever. So he grabbed like a Walmart bag and pulled his pants down and shit
In your house?
No, in his RV.
In his RV.
Shit in a Walmart bag.
and then cut a chunk of his T-shirt off and wipe his ass.
Wipes
and-
his ass. Yeah, he had
It's
paper
a
towels.
family thing, isn't it?
It is.
See, I'm scared to talk
I
anything.
don't even know what the hell we're talking about now.
I'm scared to talk anything like COVID prevention related with Max after last time,
Why is that?
because last time the whole conversation is how dumb masks are, and now they're fucking mandated.
Again, I don't think that he believes that. I like and you were a little drunk last week anyway, but
As compared to,
he's not that drunk now. He's not as drunk now. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. So we had this conversation via text a few days ago. I think anybody that's questioning whether or not these things are actually factual and they don't have any background in it whatsoever have made their decision and they're working their way backwards.
Well, so this is my pushback on the mask.
Okay.
Do I think that masks help? Absolutely, 100%. I
Okay.
joke about, all that shit just to give you guys, rise and shit like
entertaining.
that. Most of the time, that's not, I'm the comedy relief. in
92
this
more
group.
episodes.
82. This is 18.
And that's
math.
not the case. That it's not a thing that I think that it does not effectual. Doesn't work. But I just think that it's blown up more than what it needs to be. I don't think that COVID is as much of a big deal as anything else. That's the point.
Well, so just with math, there's like 34 people right now that are at the level 1 trauma center here
I mean, we doubled
that are taking up ICU beds as a result of this particular thing.
right, and we doubled
So
deaths in like a week.
even if we don't think that the death rate is that high, or even if we don't think that we are going to get it and it affect us at all, if you have some sort of significant event medically happen to you, you will be waiting longer for your care, even if it is an emergency, as a result of these beds being completely unavailable. Like, they are unavailable.
I don't deny that, but
I would hope
s-
not. Those are facts. Like, I don't know how
It is
you
a
can
fact.
divide.
And it
divide.
is also a fact that I have a better chance of dying on the way home tonight in my car than dying from COVID.
But that doesn't have anything to do with what I just said.
No, it absolutely does because
Oh, okay. Tell me.
I'm not stopping driving from home tonight.
Huh?
I'm not stopping. I'm driving home tonight.
Right. The concept of
Are you translating this?
I'm trying to, but yes, the
Yeah, translate that sentence.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell we're talking about.
So
I wonder
the-
what kind of like math you're looking at.
So the idea being that, like, right now in the state of Tennessee, despite the shutdowns and stuff, we have significantly more deaths in the same time period from accidents on the road than we do from COVID. And if all we cared about is people getting hurt or dying from car wrecks, like we care about people getting sick and dying from COVID, then we would stop driving. Translation, not me.
I understand. So my response to that would be, what is the phrase that I typically say
Moist.
other than that?
Oh,
Moist.
Right. Other than that.
I need more information.
No, I don't know.
you're gonna have to define that for
You're gonna
me.
have to define that.
That's fair.
It's more complicated.
Exactly. That's what
More
I'm looking for. That's
complicated.
exactly what I'm looking for. So, like, if we're just focused on whether or not this thing is deadly, then sure, like we can come up with things that, like suicide rate, like we should focus on suicides. I'm saying that this particular disease transmission is an issue. Like we don't have, like, we are maxed on beds right now at our level 1 trauma center here as a result of COVID. And so if we don't figure out a way to slow this thing down, we're fucked, like, as a community.
Because I have a side
Truly,
question.
we're fucked.
I have a side question real quick.
Yes, sir.
How many beds in Knox County hospitals are not Knox County residents that are being brought in from surrounding counties?
That's another issue. Is We
Right,
are,
I'm just saying,
we
right.
are probably the
I
higher
can-
level of.
I can give you an exact.
I'm just curious,
number
as
of-
being because because apparently the CDC has marked Knoxville or Knox County as a hotspot currently or whatever.
Right.
And I'm just curious as far as is the CDC's data going by what the hospitals have or by what Knox County is actually doing?
You're
'Cause
talking about
there's a-
residents versus hospital.
right. Because I mean, either way, it's an issue. I'm not trying to downplay that there's a capacity problem,
Right.
but
so I mean, this is per the level 1 trauma center. So the total cumulative case count that we receive daily, we have a 21 county service area.
right.
So there are 21 counties that we service. At least.
So of the 36 you said earlier,
Of the hold on a second.
I want my social security.
36. Yes, sir. 36.
so of the 36 you said earlier,
Mhm.
that could be one per county and then a handful more in Knox County.
It could be.
I'm just saying, like,
In theory, it could
right, but
be.
just out of the
Sure.
for the CDC part of it, because I mean, I'm sure some of that's the same in the New York, New Jersey area where you get the handful that are serious in the rural getting pushed into that, and is that counted against the local pop? Because I mean, there's a difference in, I mean, there's not really a difference in how we're trying to attack this, but there is a little bit different on the outlook. Being here in Knoxville, if we're a hotspot now. Oh shit! Well, we're a hotspot because we Knox County residents are exchanging a lot, or is that we got a bunch of like what was a couple like a month ago? It was like Rhea.
Well, no, I mean, everything is off
Rhea
of
County had a big hit, and
everything off is county stats. So that is exactly what they're going off of.
is
the
that
county
is
itself
that
with
true?
So,
Yes.
so
I
if,
mean,
you,
what do you-
if you have a death,
Yes, no matter
and-
where you are diagnosed.
Okay, so but when the daily update says, we have 36 active cases in Knoxville. We don't know exactly because we don't have that information from what you can get. I mean, you could probably find it out, but if those 21 counties, if 10 of those people from out of county, we only have 26 people that are actively hospitalized from COVID from Knox County. Just because they're in Knox County currently, I understand it's a fine.
What's your point? I guess I don't care.
the
about
point
that.
is, if somebody comes from Cock County to your hospital
Okay.
and they die of COVID, is that a Knox County
No.
COVID death, or is
It's
that a
not.
Cock County?
It's a Cock County death, but it's considered they were hospitalized in Knox County.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Because
Okay.
again, that
So you have to be Knox County residents killed by, like when you look at the stat that says Knox County deaths is citizens of that county.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, but so what that says is that the hospitalization to death rate is actually higher than perceived, because if we have 10 Knox County deaths but we have 36 active cases, that means we're almost 33%, or we're more than 33%. Because
You're trying to do math right here that it doesn't need to be done because we just said that if they die, they're a Cock County resident.
right,
So
but you also just said that active cases in Knoxville counts non-county, count people that came into the county to be for
That just counts towards
hospitalization.
hospitalization. Though.
yeah,
Right, I'm just saying that if 36 hospitalization equals 10 deaths, but that 36 hospitalization includes all 21 counties, it could be 15 Knoxville hospitalization equals 10 deaths, which means we're 2 and 3 death of hospitalizations in county.
I don't know why that matters.
Well, I'm just saying that at least mathematically it says that in county it's more deadly than not than what the stats are showing us. That's my point.
I mean, you would assume that Knoxville would have a higher death count than Cock County anyway. So, like, if it's relative, which you would imagine, because there's probably not even a clinic in Cock County for God's sakes, then like
We actually
relatively.
have some Cock County residents that are stopping by here shortly. We
Well,
can
that's
ask them.
wonderful. We can include them into this code conversation. I don't know what I mean, but my point is, it doesn't matter. I mean, Knoxville's a large enough town that, like, if you're comparing Granger County and their tomatoes to Knox County and our COVID deaths, they're going to have more tomatoes if they make fucking tomatoes, and we're going to have more people here that are patients because we have a fucking hospital that works.
But how do you feel about Cock County?
Moist.
Really?
It's
Tell me.
it's almost
How do you feel
severe.
about Cock?
It's really funny how we go from like serious conversation to eat less than juvenile.
That's how we
Dialogue.
lose our Bolivia.
Well, it's like
listeners.
It was like
He's in jail.
well, like 2 episodes ago, we started recording and then we stopped and deleted it and then started over again because the initial subject matter was a little distasteful to start with, and then
I don't even remember what it was.
and then like
blowjobs.
yeah, and then like 2
what
minutes
was it?
Blowjobs.
yeah, and then like 2 minutes in the
What was it?
episode, we're talking about like tickling buttholes or something like that. And it's like we stopped the episode for blowjobs, but we didn't for this. I don't
So
understand.
the tickling assholes thing, which I don't remember, I would remember that conversation. You would bring the tickling up, and it would be Max and I that would bring up the buttholes, probably.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
I'm just saying, you're the tickle guy.
I'm not. I'm
You're
not
the tickle guy.
I'm not denying.
We're the asshole guy.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, I find it very interesting that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the other one that we were talking money. We were talking money a little earlier. Is that there's an article that came out that the that one treatment that's showing promise or whatever, and it's like $2,500 to $3,000 treatment, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculously expensive.
So is insulin. It's been around.
I'm just saying, like
since Jesus was a baby.
I've tried to figure out.
Insulin?
Yeah, it's been around forever. Insulin's expensive.
Never heard of that.
Never heard of insulin?
No.
Oh, you're gonna eat it soon,
If you don't get that thyroid thing figured out.
huh?
No, my thyroid.
That's not what I meant.
My thyroid is Synthroid.
He's right.
What?
It is. It is Synthroid. He's right.
Whatever. Fine.
I mean, we haven't had that conversation, but I'm saying he's giving you factual information.
I know what I need to take.
She got that though.
Subscribe it. Prescribe it.
Prescribe it.
Did you understand what I was saying about the insulin thing? Oh fuck! Any of your listeners out there, if you DM'd our Twitter account and tell
Just
us why that was,
slide on
if
in.
you slide on into those DMs there, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode.
So, did anybody listen to any of the interviews we've done ever,
Yeah.
other than
Yes.
being part of them?
The ones I'm part of.
Because I mean, I like
Unless that's my wife about
this
Cliff
public
Notes.
defender. This public defender. The 2 interviews on the public defender thing were fantastic. I had a great time. I was not the greatest interviewer ever, and I'm fine with that. But
At least you're an honest man.
I mean, I told him during the interview, I was like, I suck
Oh,
at this, and we're
multiple
amateurs,
times.
and
Multiple
I don't care.
So are they.
Were-
That's
were
why
they
they're running
here?
for this office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were here.
Oh, they were here. Really?
yeah.
You're surprised too, are you? What is that?
It's boozy seltzer.
I'm sorry.
It's a boozy seltzer.
Boozy.
Yeah, it's also moist.
Say boozy or
How many
bougie?
times? Right. That's what I'm
Boozy.
saying. Like, boozy as in BOOZIE, or
Yes, like-
bougie as in.
Bougie.
Boozy.
Boozy
Bourgeois.
or bougie.
That's
You're
what I'm trying to figure out.
define
What
which
he,
one
yeah, I'm
it
trying to
is.
figure out what the fuck he's talking about.
It has alcohol in it.
Oh, wait a minute. It's made by Monday Night. Those
Yeah.
are the same
Yeah, they
motherfuckers
make your
that make
Dr.
the
Robot that you
Dr.
like, yeah.
Robot.
This episode is not brought to you by Monday Night yet. Eventually, maybe. We do have some Georgia listeners
Shit,
out
you
there.
give
They're
us
out of Atlanta.
$5. We'll
Just
give
send
you
us a couple
plug.
cases.
Just send us a case of beer.
Well, you're gonna have to. Well,
I'll DM them right now. Actually,
so that brings up an interesting sub conversation. There's an aluminum shortage right now. So I don't know if you've noticed. There's a lot of beers that are not available in the stores. Coors Light is probably one of the biggest hit currently.
I never
I've
would have
heard of.
noticed that.
But like
The silver bullet.
well, like
And not the vibrator.
there's been a couple beers that my company carries that we've been out of stock on, and the only reason I know about Narwater is because we use it as a sub in for one of the ones that's supposed to be on shelf. But yeah, there's this aluminum shortage right now, and then there's the coin shortage. You guys heard about seeing that one?
Yeah.
I don't understand that because we've never had
I've
issues
never had
getting
issues with it.
coins from the bank, but places are like, there's a coin shortage.
I got to use exact change.
Yeah, I
don't
think
get that.
I think banks are having to be a
Did you
little
say
bit more
that?
discriminatory. Like
Was that
when I
you?
went the other day to get change.
That was good.
I think they had to
I like
ask,
that.
like,
That
are
was
you
good.
one of our customers before they just started giving out change.
But
I
like,
think they've started having to be more selective.
but for us, we've not had an issue with getting change. But I've seen these posts like on businesses about not being able to get change.
Yeah, local barbecue place started doing it.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I haven't experienced any of it for sure personally.
I'm waiting for them to do like the coin stars and actually give you more money than what you put in.
That'd be
Wait till
interesting.
we get to that point.
It'd be doable.
We'll give
You
you
go.
5% back.
Like 5% off if you use your credit card.
I mean,
I mean, I used to do it
Hell
when it
yeah,
was like a
do that.
5%, 6% surcharge, and then I realized that it started getting up to like 12 and 15%. I don't know that exactly.
yeah, there's a
what it
law
went up
passed a
to.
little while ago. Like it used to be illegal to charge people differently for credit card passage than cash, and that actually went through a couple of years ago where you're allowed to charge the customer for using a credit card because it cost your business. But
Yeah, there's credit card companies out there now that it's in the process. So if your bill's $20, it charges the person $23,
right.
and then they get their money, and then we just get our $20.
Right. So it's a weird little scam going on. But anyway, the public defender thing, like this is the most interesting like political, like who I'm going to vote for decision that I've probably ever had in front of me, mostly because I'm more informed than normal because of what we're doing. But essentially it's 2 guys replacing a guy that everybody thought was great. Both guys want to continue and expand what the guy that's that's retiring because it's a special election. August 6th, everybody. August 6th is election day here in Knox County, and you have a lot of elections that you need to be informed about and go vote on. But both guys basically want to do the same thing. Like, talking to both of them, like, the big difference is which one do I think is better at doing it. Eric Lutton, who has been acting in the position since the guy that's
Stevens.
Stevens, yeah. Stevens retired, and Lutton has been acting leading up to the election, so he has the experience of actually doing the job. But does Sharif have some cool things that he might add to as an outsider instead of being? I mean, that's kind of where I'm sitting on it. Todd Frohmeyer chimed in on it through our Facebook, and he shared our interview and was like, "Hey, this is who I'm voting for because he's not a Republican," which is the dumbest ass reason to not vote for somebody. But especially in this position,
Really?
but I don't know. I
I
thought
said it with an air of, what's the word I'm looking for? I was thinking I was going to use
Not vote for
debutante.
somebody because they're Republican?
well, that's our
not-
lawyer. That's his stance. It's like fuck them. They're Republicans, even though I've been a Republican my whole life.
Well, okay, hold on. So allow me to defend myself.
I wasn't talking
was-
about anybody.
I was trying to
Do
deflect
you
on your
resemble
behalf.
that remark?
Resemble or resent?
Resemble.
Resemble.
What? Who the hell are we talking to right now?
The only reason you would be defensive is if you thought he was talking to you.
He was. He stared at me when he said that.
You're pretty. What do you want
Yeah.
from him?
Wait, he
You have
wants
a
to fuck
wonderful-
me? Is that what it is?
You have
Yeah,
a wonderfully
you got those-
manicured beard.
Nice short blue shorts on. Like,
You like to bulge, too, don't you?
yeah, you do.
Okay. You do or I do?
One of us does.
Okay. But
So
not
I'm
me.
gonna just ignore those two. Should I mute them and you and I can talk about the?
I just wanted to point out
It'll be
also
like part
5
of the
minutes ago we
episodes
changed we changed the conversation from the homosexual overturns and we just had this conversation about bulging the shorts.
Right.
Can we point that out,
Right,
please?
and I'm the one that always gets the he's the tickle guy.
Well, you are the tickle guy.
I am the tickle guy, but it's always the inference of the gayness or whatever.
It's not
but
an inference. You're the one that says you're a tickle guy. I mean,
He
he
does.
is. I'm not making that up.
What
That's what he
was it?
says.
First person shoots a deer gets tickled.
That's what he said.
it's true. You guys
We're like,
really.
what do y'all want to do? Like, you want
I mean-
first liquor drink? Like, big dick rights for a year? Like, what are we doing here? No, the winner gets some tickles.
I have
We're
not
like,
perpetuated this
what?
tickle joke whatsoever.
Thank you, Sam. That's why you're my favorite.
Perpetuated? What do you mean? He's
So-
perpetuated.
Everybody.
No, I'm just saying, I of the three of us have not perpetuated this tickle
So,
joke whatsoever.
What's going to happen in late November?
'Cause he
We're going
likes
to
He's
put
trying to
out.
change the subject right now. Is what he's trying to do.
In late November, we're going to put out like probably 3 episodes that are like 4-hour epics each that we record on the hunting trip.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
We're gonna go and we're gonna hunt all day, and then we're gonna come back to camp, and we're gonna turn the recorder on, and it's gonna be this times 10 in the stupid factor. And then since we don't have internet out there, we'll have them all. I'll have them all packaged up, and then when we get back to civilization, you're gonna have 12 hours of content, and it's gonna be about 30 minutes of usefulness. But
That's not even close to being accurate.
25. So anyway,
3 whole minutes.
this public defender's office thing's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm super excited that is something that we can claim as ours as citizens of this wonderful Knox County. I think it's a cool thing that they're doing. I mean, the idea, like, I'd like to see the paperwork that the studies they've done, but a $300,000 a year budget is taking $1.7 million out of a different part of the budget. That's phenomenal to me, and I think that is something that needs to be.
and I think
perpetuated
that
and
was
continued and
misdemeanors
grown.
only.
Well, I agree.
That was right, and
I
that
agree
right.
with your calculations, but honestly, if we're talking about the two guys want to continue the work that the one guy that's currently doing it, or I guess if the
What?
two guys that are trying to get elected don't want to change the current guy's agenda,
Right,
then it's not really an important election.
right. It's interesting. That's what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it's like, well, either one of them going to do. I mean, it's not like you have two opposing factors. So it's
Actually,
like,
I'm thinking about it. We're going to go pro Sharif just because I know we have UK listeners and Egyptian listeners because of him. So we're Sharif fans just because he's bringing us international fame.
what's Sharif's background like?
He-
I mean, Sharif is not a Bob, Tom, Jim.
He is Egyptian. He was born in
England.
right, not where was it? It was Nottingham, because he is
That's right.
Sharif of Nottingham.
Yeah.
He's Sharif of Nottingham.
pretty
Of
fucking
Nottingham.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
fucking pretty
That's
ass
fucking cool.
I would vote for him just for that. Like,
And then when he was 1.5, they moved to Kentucky.
oh,
Why
fuck
Kentucky?
that.
And
Fuck
he
that.
lived in
Never
Kentucky.
mind. I take back the back. I'm not
Why the
voting
hell
for
they
him.
moved
He lived
to
in Kentucky for a while. Then they came down here. He went to high school at, what do you say, Webb?
Don't remember.
I think he went to high school here.
God, he went. Wait. So he went to Kentucky, then went to Webb. So culture change from Nottingham to Kentucky, and then an even larger one,
Right.
presumably from Kentucky.
I think
to
it was Webb. I don't recall the school, but he was here in high school. I can't remember where he went to undergrad. He went to graduate school at Georgia.
Okay, I was about to say, yeah. I was thinking he
Right,
went to
and then
Georgia.
he moved back to Harlan.
Nottingham.
He was in Harlan, Kentucky. He started practicing in Harlan, Kentucky. Rekindled some relationship with his girlfriend from high school, and she drug him back here to Knoxville, and that's what brought him to Knoxville.
Sharif, if any of this is incorrect,
And he's
please just let us
kin to Nefertiti.
Maybe. I mean,
So he's Egyptian, right?
He is Egyptian.
We're
I mean,
gonna
on a
start spreading
on
that.
a very long time.
I don't
scale.
even know what the hell that is.
It's an Egyptian.
It's a goddess of Egyptian lore.
Is it?
Yes,
Nefertiti.
Nefertiti is a goddess of Egyptian. I don't remember the specific.
Tells
god
me the
of
only
whatnot.
reason why Max brought that up is because of the portion that says
I
titty.
believe it was
titties.
an actual queen. Of
No,
Egypt.
we actually had a
Queen
bait
Nefertiti.
line that was all Egyptian,
Yeah,
so
but
it was Nefertiti,
Egyptian lore
and
is
it was all different sides
The
of
kings and queens were gods.
No, this was an actual person.
but the kings. And,
Hold on a second. The fact that we have anybody that ever listens to this is amazing.
no, the fact that we have actual, like, legitimate, useful people in the world that come and interview with us is fucking amazing.
They've got to be bored as fuck. Like,
still
why,
blows my
why
mind.
is why
They don't
is
know
the,
any better yet.
Why is the Duke of Nottingham showing up here of all places?
That's the question. You know that anybody that we have that we interview did not listen to any of our.
Our actual episodes.
Podcast.
They've all listened to the Gina. Everybody was like, it was the Gina one and then the Jamie one. Everybody's referenced those two because they're the shorter ones. They haven't listened to the whole podcast. They
Yeah,
just
like-
listened to the short interview ones.
You've
gotta
not
start-
heard the shit show.
And that's fine. I mean, because we talked about it post show 2 weeks ago. It's like, to me, we kind of are running two simultaneous podcasts. We have the interview portion that's the full local politics, like that's all the focus of that part is, and then we have this show, which is this. And I'm okay with it. I like the way that kind of works. So
I like this part better
I-
because I always feel like I don't want to like trash the
I mean,
interviewer.
I'm concerned about
Interviewer or interviewee?
interviewer.
You don't want to trash the interviewer?
Interviewee. I guess the interviewee. The person I'm fucking talking to.
He doesn't want to be a trashy interviewer
Ah,
to the interviewee.
if your name is the Duke of fucking Nottingham, like
But he was
I
really
should
cool.
have been on that. Duke? You're a Duke? That's
You can,
fucking cool,
that-
man.
that is cool.
You can buy.
Where's your castle at? I want to stay there.
But yeah, they were. I don't know. They were both really cool. They were both really fun. I think it's really interesting. Like Eric Lutton put out that we could have him back to have some some
Not election, but just
non-election conversation about like prison reform and criminal justice reform and stuff like that. That he'd be
100%
interested in.
on board with that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
that's what we
basically
told
said,
him.
let's wait till August that you get reelected or not reelected or whatever. Let's let that pass, and then let's jump on that because he's like, I can get you some DAs and we can talk to some DAs and we can have a DA and me in here and we could do some
I would
back and forth.
love that
That'd be
because
super
you never
interesting.
know when you want to know those people.
Yeah, it'd be secondary bonus. It'd be handy to have him.
Oh, he invited us to come down and see the place.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a really cool. I think it's a really cool thing that Knoxville does. So shifting to the other pair of interviews, which is AC and I's District 4 people. That one was less interesting to me, but as far as the two, I mean, they were both fun interviews for different reasons, but I thought they were more. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to me that the public defender is a partisan race, because I don't see why that position is partisan. Where the the county commissioner one makes total sense because they are absolutely in the in the guidelines that they're supposed to be for said parties. Which I mean, I think realistically Kyle Ward's probably winning the position. I don't see Todd winning that position.
No.
Not for lack of trying or anything. I just don't like. I am totally 100% behind the idea of I don't like unopposed elections. Like I don't like unopposed elections. I hate seeing a ballot and it's like this guy, vote for this guy or there's blank.
So run against him.
then that is essentially all Todd's doing. Like he has a couple issues that he has platform on, but for the most part, the only reason he's running is to have a other, and that's okay.
Don't vote for Kyle though, because he's not out doing trash service in halls. He fucking lied to me on our interview. So
I don't know. I'd have to go back and double check to see if he said Halls. He said North Knoxville. I don't know exactly what he meant.
that's halls.
I implied that.
Well, North Knoxville is also Powell and Carnes.
Straw Plains.
Straw Plains is east.
Yeah, North Knoxville's Powell and Halls.
Carnes.
But I think
Carnes is not. No.
I think I don't know. I just think that one's. I don't know. I'm curious. I just don't. I don't. I didn't personally. I didn't dislike Todd. I just don't really feel like there was any real stance there. The only really thing that he brought up in the interview was that he would push for raising property tax with reason, and I'm down with that. Like, okay, you've got a purpose for it, but to me, that's the outlook of the party saying that we're going to raise taxes to spend more money on X instead of trying to figure out how to cut and trim and do anything else. Like it was just raise taxes. Which one? Both? Because they were both military.
Yeah, Ward.
They're both military.
It's a woman
Squirrel.
running outside.
There was you had Todd Fromeyer was Air Force and Kyle was Air Force. Todd was Navy.
Yeah.
They were both military. Yeah, he was JAG. Yeah, Todd was in JAG.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
So they were both. I mean, they're both military. So I can't say that they have military background, so I don't like them. Not that
He's
I would
just
say
baiting
that
you.
anyway.
That's the only two people running for that one seat that's opening up, or the one seat.
Which one are we talking about? Public defender? Or?
No, we're
District
talking
four?
about
for Todd and Kyle.
Yeah, that's
Todd
District
Kyle.
4. That's my county commissioner.
But those are the only two people running for that
Right,
district seat.
because Kyle beat out the incumbent is quitting, and handpicked a successor, which wasn't Kyle, and Kyle beat that guy in the primary, and then so it's Kyle against Todd, for this district.
I did like Kyle though.
I mean, I like them both personally, but as far as like what little policy we got out of either one of them, I mean,
Look, can we take a step back for a second? I mean, like these guys met up with us here in essentially a basement with
Exactly, a
some,
basement.
Some
Still blows my mind.
Yeah, but let's take all this in for a second. So they're in a basement with some sheets up over a ceiling. With
Those are
a
actually
bunch
tapestries,
Of,
but
hold
whatever.
on, they're not tapestries. Over a fucking ceiling to partition an area. And if they listened to even 6.5 minutes of our actual podcast, they would think that this was nonsense anyhow. So the fact that they gave us any policy discussion is amazing to me. So, I mean, I don't know. I think we didn't need to have them on again to see if they'd actually open up anymore.
I mean,
See if they come back.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I mean,
you're
like-
right. You're
like,
right.
you know,
Because,
like,
because
I wouldn't mind to follow, but I'm just saying it.
the
As,
first thing, if they don't like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
and they
fuck
got
yes.
some followers. Let me come out.
Yeah.
If they come out a second time.
If they come out a second time, they might actually loosen up a little bit. Like, okay, these guys are clowns, but at least they're, I don't know, kind of entertaining. I mean, I can talk a little bit about my platform. Otherwise, if it's me, I'm just gonna say stuff that's not gonna get me to lose votes. At that point, I'm not
Yeah.
looking to gain anything. I'm looking to not lose any votes
then why are you coming at all?
because I want to put my toe in the water. I want to see is
Any
it.
news is good news.
That's
All right,
also true.
I'll pull a follow up. We got a month. A little less than a month.
Yeah, I think it's just a little premature for us to say, I don't know, we're just gonna. I mean, we can't expect them to come in here and say, this is my platform and these are the things that I'm going to do. And, like, the guy showed up. That's good enough. Let's have him on a second time. If it's the same thing, then
I mean, I have the option. These people will be on my ballot, and from the information I obtained from them directly, through the interviews, and then through post off-air stuff, and then through research and whatever, my feelings right now are as stated.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not shitting on anybody.
I'm not saying you're shitting on him. I'm just saying that I think it's a little unfair to just say, I don't know if I like this guy because I don't think we haven't had enough exposure to them yet. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean,
So
okay, so-
who you're voting for?
well, I'm just saying. So right,
Presidential election.
no, this one
You're
specifically.
not
This
voting,
is on
you're
your ballot.
writing my name in before you write anybody
I'm writing
else
your
on the
name
ballot.
in. Why am I doing that?
Well, I guarantee you'll write my name in before you write anybody else on that ballot.
You guarantee me that? How much you want to bet?
That you will write my name in before you vote for Donald Trump or you vote for Joe Jorgensen, or you vote for Biden, yes,
You
I will
want
make a bet on that.
You want to bet my hunting license for the next 10 years that that's not true?
Well,
Good.
that's a stupid bet because you will just vote for somebody just to get your hunting license.
So
Exactly.
you already know you're going to lose.
Yes,
You
I
still
know.
want to take this
I
bet.
know I'm going to lose if I do that because you'll vote just because.
That's true.
But down in your heart, you will.
It's still early.
You would not vote for any of those three people.
I will unequivocally not vote for Trump. I am 9 toes into likely not voting for Biden. I don't like the gun control thing. This Jorgensen thing is this idea of
It's unwinnable, so I'm not going to bother.
I don't know. That's not my argument. I'm a little more philosophically inclined than that, right?
Okay, I was just throwing some shit.
I don't like that whole idea of I had this constitutional right to do X, Y, and Z. It adds more power to the office of the presidency, which I don't like.
Okay.
That's my main concern right now with him. Her, sorry.
Right. So with that, okay, and I'm not going to go. We're not going back into that. I'm not doing it. So, but okay, going back. Where is
Why aren't you going back into that?
We
was that
can't.
nod?
We
Tell
can't
me-
hear a
tell me what
second.
that nod for.
I want to finish.
Well, he's trying to get Joe Jorgensen on the program,
I am.
so he doesn't
I
want
reached
to
out
trash
her.
her.
I'm aware.
I'm not going to trash her anyway, but
I'm not going to trash her. I'd love to have her on.
I would
She's
love to,
fucking awesome.
and I will likely be voting for her, so it doesn't really matter. But to finish up, had I not done these interviews with Kyle and Todd, I would have less information than I have now to make my informed decision on this election. And so, with the information I have now, that's all I was trying to get at. I mean, there are things that can come out because, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out this whole Tri-County's waste disposal bullshit that's going on up in your neighborhood.
It has nothing to do with Ward.
Okay, because there was like some inference through some Facebook conversation that was
No, it's a whole different company. It's Waste Connections. That is the whole thing about the general manager of Tri-County Sanitation closing the doors, walking away, and taking a job at like Waste Connections, which is not Kyle Ward's.
right. That was good.
Company.
The rumor was that it might have been the company that he was opening up there, and that was some like shady kind of backroom shit.
No.
You know, and I mean, honestly, on the Kyle side, like he kept having that reference of behind the curtain thing. It's like I don't like that. Like I don't like the idea that there's this behind the curtains world that you get to play in now that you've gotten into politics. That are all these different people that are the movers and the shakers of the Knoxville political world that we don't know that exist. I mean, they obviously, I mean, through tongue in cheek, I guess, in conversation. In my opinion, you let the cat out of the bag. That's a thing that happens. And I'm not a big fan of that.
Is this the first you're hearing of this?
Yeah, I'm shocked that this is happening. Tell me more.
What? There's people that are unshady when it comes to politics.
Unshady or shady?
Shady.
Okay.
I'm expressing some issues I have with the candidate that I'm leaning towards at this time. That's all I was saying.
Right.
But you have a Macklemore picture behind you.
I don't know how that changes anything, but okay. Yeah, I have a Macklemore picture behind me.
I still don't know who this motherfucker is.
That's fine.
I really don't.
Your wife does. I mean, I don't understand why that's an issue. You guys are there's been complaints of sound issues in here, and I'm trying to put soft things on the wall to eat up some of the echoiness that's in this room.
It's just your mental state when you have Macklemore in Green Bay. That your mental state is not completely up to par.
Well, I would argue that Green Bay thing is a statue. Remember, he can't tear down his statues. He did say that.
I mean, so when we first started doing this, when we had the fucking poker table in here and the TV over here in the corner, did I have anything on this wall? Yeah, just that one framed UT panoramic.
I think you had the Green Bay.
No, I put that up like 3 weeks ago.
No, a lot longer than 3 weeks. Okay, we're not gonna have this conversation.
I'm just saying. I'm trying. There's been discussion of sound issues, and I'm doing the best I can with what we have. In my home, which is a basement, there's shit piled up everywhere. It is my basement, and I'm okay with that.
It's cleaned up though. Actually, that
I'm
porch
working
looks
on
good.
it. I'm trying to get
That's
better.
good.
We just need to get someone playing the piano over
Yeah.
there. Dun, 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 dun.
I'll help him move that thing in 20 fucking years.
It's a
I think
fucking-
it's never gonna get used.
You know,
Ever.
probably not. I mean, I poke around on it every once in a while.
He's
but
not gonna poke around at nothing except himself. That's it.
I mean, maybe one of you guys can learn how to play it and then write our theme song, so you can't make fun of the one that I.
I don't know why you're so
Produce for us.
sensitive about that. I told you I liked everything. Could you play that for the listeners, please?
Play
Yeah,
it, play
it's
it.
good.
Come
Do
on,
it.
man.
No,
Yeah,
no,
just play it. Just play it.
Come on.
Just
let's do it.
everything, all of it.
I mean, it goes on for fuck ever. So
Yeah, but you say something here in a minute. Hold on.
I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much.
This is Almost in Agreement.
I thought it was cool. Thought it was cool.
Let's start
That-
the show.
That is wonderful.
All right, so legitimately, you guys are like,
I like the beat. The beat's good.
we start off at the beginning of it, and I like the idea of we just sit down, I make sure all the levels are cool, and we just get talking, and I just hit record, and then at some point I interrupt with this is episode whatever number, and then it's like, oh, you this weird ass open where we don't know what's really open,
Because you didn't tell anybody.
because it's funny that way. Because
No,
what's
I'll say that like you guys make fun of me, but that is total tickle.
okay?
Totes
It's
tickle.
still playing, by the way. Oh, it just finished. I mean, I've thought about. I've truly thought about like trying to find some like management companies and writing emails and be like, hey, can we have permission to use song X, Y, or Z from your artist as a intro theme or whatever? But I haven't gotten around to doing that. I've been busy actually communicating with people that I'm going to vote for to bring them in here to do it. Fuck you guys.
There's a good bit of like classical that's open source.
Right.
Yeah, there's all sorts of
Hall of the Mountain King.
exactly. Happy birthday. That's like free.
Is it now? I thought it hadn't been for years.
No, it is.
We can sing a happy birthday.
You just play the.
We're so glad you came.
You play the music, and you don't say the words. People
So
are like, why the fuck do they have?
So
happy
the
birthday as their
poem is
opening?
copywritten, not the tune.
You just auto tune it up half a step and totally different song.
Call it bullshit. But all right. So now that we've spent the last 10 minutes giving me shit,
I bowed out because I'm trying to get a follow from Donald Trump.
oh,
You're
good
trying
luck.
to get a follow. He doesn't like you.
Um,
I
He
already
doesn't know
told
that.
him about you.
Did you?
Um,
What did you say to him?
I said,
So-
don't AC. Do not follow.
Don't AC.
Yeah,
What is, does he know what that means as an action verb?
yeah. I told him don't AC.
Personally,
What did he? And he said what?
He said, "Fuck that guy. I don't like him anyway."
Really?
He tweeted that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he say that?
did he at least tag him in the tweet? Because that's good for our followers.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
He
I'm
probably
good with
called me a Kenyan nationalist too.
He did.
Huh.
He said, "Fuck that motherfucker."
Wow.
I said, "He's a good guy.
Who
You'd
said
like to go
that?
hunting with
You
him."
So-
said that? Or
all
I
right,
said,
so-
I said, "You'd like to go hunting with him?"
that. So we'll move back to national politics and go to. Are we going to have debates?
No,
Yes,
no.
You think so?
Yes.
No.
I think it'll be virtual, if anything.
I agree with that.
Or
See,
maybe,
I don't know,
or
'cause
maybe how they're doing, some of the Premier League games where there's literally nobody
audience.
there.
Man, if they do a debate with Donald Trump and Biden, it will be the biggest shit show you ever seen.
Well, I mean, so I'm
It would be
You could have
funny,
just
I
stopped
agree.
at Trump.
or Biden. Either
No,
one,
have you
it's fine.
seen any of Biden's latest?
I didn't get
interviews?
around to reading his.
Oh my God, the guy's
He put out a bold thing or whatever a couple days yesterday, 2 days ago.
It's
Put
an
out-
economic plan.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to read it yet. I'm curious to look at it, but so okay. Here's one. How about the? Did you guys read the story about Austin East High School?
The mural.
Yeah,
Sure.
Black Lives Matter
yeah.
thing.
I thought that was interesting. And then there was the one where
I can't comment on that because I'm white.
the couple, I don't know if it's an actual couple, but the two people, I don't remember what city it was in, that went and painted over a Black Lives Matter mural and got it convicted of a hate crime for it.
Yeah. I can't
I
comment
mean,
on that either because I'm white.
if the mural was like legitimately sanctioned or whatever, that's fine. Okay, cool. And that's destruction of property and vandalism, I guess, to paint on the road. But a hate crime for that? That seems a little excessive. I don't understand the premise of hate crime anyway, but that's a whole separate
What does that
conversation.
mean? You don't understand the premise of hate crime. What
I
do
don't
you
understand the premise of hate crime. So my understanding of how a hate crime works. My understanding of how a hate crime works is that okay, so it's an assault, right? So it starts as an assault. So
mean? What is it?
the initial crime starts as an assault. So
Okay.
person A punches person B in the face. If person A identifies, for lack of a better word, as a white nationalist and person B is black, it now gets escalated as a hate crime. Why isn't it just a fucking assault? Why does it need to be extra than an assault?
I mean, I do think that if there's a particular target demographic that is pinpointed as like a section of the community that is a increased risk of receiving violence, I think a hate crime label
Okay.
hopefully
Right. I get what you're saying.
deters that from happening.
So what's the difference in a simple and an aggravated assault?
I'm not a lawyer. Do you want me to Google that?
I'm pretty sure.
I think aggravated is when you actually have a weapon on you and you've made threat of bodily harm.
Any lawyers that are listening, if you just DM
All right,
us
we
real quick.
we
that'd
should
be
call
great.
Jamie real quick. Not
This
that
is
he
not
does
live.
this kind of shit.
We
But
need to do one of these live sometime.
I have to figure out how to do it. I mean, we could do it. We could do YouTube live. That wouldn't be very hard. But
Okay.
trying to do a podcast live is a different animal. But
Okay.
so to me, it's like, okay, so let me switch the. I have a better understanding if we switch my hypothetical to a murder charge. Same situation, A, B, and it's white guy kills a black guy. White guy is a white nationalist. Kills a black guy. So instead of it being a probably second degree murder charge, it gets amplified as a hate crime on top of the second degree murder charge. If my understanding between the second and first degree murder charge is the willful intent, like actually the pre-planned intent, and all the different shit.
That's first.
Why
degree,
wouldn't
yeah.
it? Why wouldn't it
Premeditated.
change it? Again, I don't remember. I don't know the 100% specifics. The reason there is a first, second, third degree murder is because I catch you sleeping with my wife, I fucking kill you. That's third degree murder. I hunt you down specifically. That's second degree murder. First degree murder is a step above that. It's all about the intent and the effort put into the murder. Is how you have 1, 2, and 3.
I think hunt you down would be first degree. That's premeditated.
Okay.
Premeditated.
I think
first.
we're wasting a lot of time on stuff that we don't actually know what the fuck we're talking about. What are we actually trying to say?
My
Hate
point
crimes.
is, there's already stuff in the system. There's already stuff in the system before hate crime that takes into account the intent of the aggressor, for lack of a better word. So why wouldn't it be built into like a third to second degree murder charge as far as the intent was to hurt a black person, just as if the intent was to hurt you as a specific person? Like there's already structures in place to amplify the charge from the intent. And so if there is willful intent and pre-planned intent or whatever, that ups the charge already. So if I want to go out and kill a black person because I'm a white national, that is a specific intent that would raise the murder charge already. So why do we have a second level of amplification of a crime that's already inside the system? That's my problem with
I didn't
it.
go to law school, but I think my initial response would be, why not? Like, you're arguing not to have it, and I'm saying, what benefit do we have to not have it?
I think premeditation is temporal, though. Like, it's time.
Right, you're right. Premeditation is right.
So hate crimes are about being motivated by someone's.
All right, start over because you're off the mic.
I,
It's a little phallic. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I think premeditation is about or willful intent is more of like a temporal concept in my mind, like the idea of pre-planning or preparing for an act, right? But hate crime is all about the specific motivation to go through. I can't think of a better word.
So
to
I'm
go
just saying
through
there's a
it.
difference.
It's motivated purely by like race, religion.
Right. But the
So
difference
you're
in
saying
argument would be.
what you're saying is like, so if I'm going to go out and I have premeditated that I want to kill Seth, that's premeditated. And if I say I'm going to go out and kill a black person, I don't have a defined black person I want to kill, that then by me saying I want to kill a black person, if I kill a black person, you can't charge me with second-degree murder.
No, they
because
charge
it
you with
was a-
second-degree murder already, and then they throw the hate crime on top.
which brings it to murder one, which is premeditated. So the premeditation is that just because I didn't have a defined person I wanted to fight. I mean, I agree with that if that's the case.
I'm saying that if you plan to kill your wife's lover, it's because she's sleeping with your wife. If you plan to kill someone of a particular, or indiscriminately kill someone of a particular race, gender, or other minority status, it's because of that status. It's motivated by.
It's still premeditated, even though you don't have.
I'm not arguing if it's premeditated or not. I'm saying I'm saying that you're saying that it shouldn't be You're saying it
my
shouldn't
my
be-
argument is there's structures already in place to escalate because of X, Y, or Z. Why does this one need to be special and different? Because
Because
one
it is
reason
a special
why,
and a different situation.
but it only goes one way. If a black guy goes out and if a black guy comes over here and kills me, it's at least at minimum not automatically a hate crime. It's probably not even a hate crime, even if he says I killed him because he's a white guy, because there's nothing to do with it. That's my problem.
Why would you think that?
What do you mean? Why would I think that? Find me a hate crime. Find me a hate crime that was against a white person. Find evidence. Find me a case. If there was one, it's never been in the news that I've seen, which is not impossible that I've missed it. But in what I have seen, it only goes one direction.
I don't disagree.
And if this is a world we're okay with living in, that certain things can only go in one direction, then we're valuing a certain group of people higher than others. And there's an expectation for the certain group of people that are all of a sudden less valued to fight back against that. And if that comes off as racist, then it is.
Well, this going off not off subject, but talking about all these white people that are involved.
AC found one.
This is July the 11th, 2020. A Wisconsin man was struck and killed. Who struck and killed a motorist told investigators he intentionally crashed headfirst into the vehicle because he believed all Harley riders are, quote, white racist. Daniel Navarro of Fort Dunluke, wherever that is in Wisconsin. You might know where that is. Seth?
What was it?
Fond du Lac?
Fond du
Well,
Lac?
sure. Sounds great.
I mean, it's a big. Okay.
Whatever. Has been charged with the homicide as a hate crime after he allegedly veered across the road around 6:45 last Friday to hit a former Marine and police officer, Philip Thiessen, on his Harley. Navarro told detectives that he believed the person...
Find me one without a cop then. Shit.
Navarro told detectives that he believed the person driving the motorcycle was white because in Wisconsin, white people drive Harley-Davidson motorcycles, and Harley culture is made up of white racists. Navarro is Hispanic.
It's not just
Okay.
race,
So
though.
so the victim's not even white. So that's not a good example.
The victim is white.
But it's not just race.
Yeah,
it's
the victim was
minority-
white.
You said he
minority
believed the
status.
victim was.
So there are plenty of examples of hate crimes perpetuated against individuals who are Caucasian. If you look at the
That's what I just said.
rash of hate crimes perpetuated against individuals who are gay or lesbian.
But
Right,
that's
so
not
that's
that's not a hate crime under their whiteness. It's a hate crime under their sexual preference.
But you were arguing that hate crimes only applied to race, and I'm saying
Okay,
there
that's
are
fair.
plenty of
You're fair.
There are
That's
plenty
fair.
of examples of hate crimes that are perpetuated against individuals.
Yeah, I hate
that-
gay people.
That's fair. You
All
said
my
it.
kids are gay though, so it's good. I can say that. It's kind of like that.
Do you still have a stance about this hate crime thing?
No, but here's a
Not
question.
you, I meant
Here's
Democrat
no,
here.
no, dumbass is done. So think about
I
this.
didn't say that.
I'm sorry.
So if I'm opposed to all this protesting for Black Lives Matter,
If you are.
Is there an if? Yeah.
well, okay. So if I'm opposed to it,
Okay.
you're labeled as a racist, like you don't understand, what's going on and all that kind of stuff, right?
It depends on your, I guess, reasoning for the supposed reasoning for
Okay.
if that was the case.
So the white people that are out marching with the black people for the Black Lives Matter movement, they're going, oh, you don't get a fair shake. You're not equal. You're not like these people that are white marching with the Black Lives Matter people because they don't feel that they're getting the same shake, or they're not equal, or they're not whatever. Are they not the racists saying that? Because for me, I think that every black person is equal with me. I don't have a problem with them. I don't have a problem with any person, race, color, sex, gender, anything. And I say that we all have an equal shake. And so for you to say that these people are not equal with you, are you not the racist by saying that
It's
you don't
the
have?
soft bigotry of low expectations.
No, I don't. So allow me to respond to that. I don't think that they're saying that they're not I'm not saying that they're less value. I'm saying that there are people. If I'm a white person and I'm the person that you're describing, I think what I would respond to you would be, or how I would respond to you is, I would say that there are white people in this country that feel like Black lives don't matter, and I am marching with them to say that these people who think that way are incorrect, and I'm saying that they do matter, which is why I'm here.
But you're why are you marching with those people? Because they don't have a fair shake? Is that why you're saying?
I'm
or
saying-
what do you,
no, I'm not-
what's the reason behind the white person marching with the black person for Black Lives Matter?
It's more of a unity thing. I would argue that there are people that feel like that Black lives actually don't matter, and I'm here saying that they do, and there are white people that say that they don't, and like, why would I not support that?
So the question is, why do they think that?
Why do they think what? Who?
That Black Lives don't matter?
There are a lot of folks I think that Black lives don't matter.
Because they can't go to college, they can't get an education, they can't
I don't.
do
I don't.
what?
Everyone's got their own reasons.
Yeah,
well, the
yeah,
question is,
yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about college, if you just go off percentages, there's 13% of our population is black, right?
16? I don't know. I'm not sure.
13 right now is 13%. But you have a higher percentage if you look at the percentage of black people that go to college for the percentage of black people that are in the United States is higher than so if you say 13% of the population is black, right? And we say 78% is or 70% is white, right? So then you look at colleges. So then for a fair shake, if we say everything's equal, then colleges should be 70% white
Yeah, I understand.
and 13% black,
I understand
right?
what you're saying. I'm
But
saying.
but colleges
I
are
understand.
14
I
to
get it.
15% black
I understand what you're saying.
and
Let-
62% white.
Let me
so
interject here. I don't think that anybody's saying that systemically, like initially systemically, there's an issue with that. I think that some people are actually just saying that there are people that feel like that Black lives actually don't matter at all. Like, don't matter.
but
at all.
that's insane for
It is
anyone.
insane. That's why they're walking.
But it's stupid to think about it. It's like saying the sky is blue. We're gonna march and we're gonna riot because the sky is blue. Who the fuck does not think the sky is blue?
There are a lot of folks that don't think that Black lives matter.
I mean,
No.
the Earth might be
The
flat. I
percentage-
mean, there's stupid people out there.
It's like saying the flat Earth people. You know?
I don't know what you're
It-
talking about.
Well, there's a percentage of the population that think that the Earth is flat.
And they're dumb too.
Yeah, and so people that march and say, "Oh, we're having a march because the Earth is round," because there's a small population of the fucking Earth people that think the Earth is flat. It's the same thing. I mean, I think this
there's-
whole Black Lives Matter is ridiculous.
Well, I
It's
think the part of-
stupid.
I think the
it's
biggest-
fucking dumb.
I don't think it's dumb.
I think the biggest-
It
I don't
is
have-
dumb.
Oh, I'm okay, but I haven't heard an actual articulated argument for why it is dumb.
I think the biggest
What-
issue.
What? How is our country based on keeping an African American, black, whatever you want to say, down?
I don't think that you're not listening to what
Right.
I'm saying. I'm not saying that anybody's keeping them down. I think that it is an ideal in
By
some.
who?
I've told you this like 6 times. You're not listening. There are folks in this country who feel like that the lives of black people don't matter. I'm not saying you feel that way.
Who are those people?
Like, you've never met racists before?
Yeah,
like actual racists?
But how? What percentage is that?
I don't have. I don't. Come on, man. I don't have.
But okay,
No,
so,
stats.
so
That's
the real
the- that's-
question.
that's
No,
the
hold on,
thing.
hold on.
I
The
don't
real
know. We get so
question.
reactive about
I
this.
mean,
Like
there's,
we've got
there's
racists.
still
that-
Klan rallies
Yeah, like-
That's
every
fine,
fucking
but
year.
the
Where,
real-
where's Craner?
The real question is that group of
In
people
Louisville?
that does exist. That I mean, there is that group of people that they do exist.
Yeah, there was a guy almost lynched in Indiana.
Are there?
like,
Are
July
there?
4th. July 4th, a man was almost lynched. Or
Almost
was,
lynched.
Was threatened to be lynched. Had bystanders not stepped in,
Because
that man
he was
would have
black.
been because he
I
was
mean,
black.
that would be the lynchy part.
Okay, Shannon Christian, Chris Newsom.
That was wrong too.
I agree. There's shit happens. Bad shit happens. But it's not.
I don't understand why we're so emotionally reactive about
No,
this.
okay, so no, but here's
Like,
the thing.
that's
Hold
what
on. All right, so here's the thing: is that the idea that Black Lives Matters is not a bad idea. The problem is that there are two simultaneous things happening in the Black Lives Matter movement. There is the base concept of yes, absolutely, Black Lives Matter. But then there is an actual like political movement that is involved with it that runs under same title that is a different animal, and it's not the same thing. And so you get this weird spot where you're trying to argue against the some of the political turmoil part of it, and it comes
Which
across
is what?
as it comes across as saying no, Black lives don't matter.
I don't know what that means. Tell me about this political
Okay,
stuff. you're talking about.
all right. So let me look it up real quick because there is a Black Lives Matter webpage, and they have their fucking their stance on this, that, and the other. And it just like we've gone over political candidates, we can go down the Black Lives Matter version of it.
I'm not saying that Black Lives. I agree 100%. Black Lives Matter. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
But I don't think that America is set up to keep a black person down. I don't think that our country is set up to, against black people, keep them down, not allow them to own businesses, not allow them to work, not allow them to vote. That
that's
to me
a lot
is
of. So that's you said a lot, and so I don't think that we don't. I don't think that our society keeps black people from owning businesses. But don't we think that it's odd that in the history of our country we've only had one African American president?
okay. 13% of the population is black.
Okay, we've had 45 presidents.
Okay, so what's that percentage?
It's less than 13%.
So do that.
I mean,
let's be real. You
Let's
gotta
go.
go.
You got to
at
go
least till
to where we said black people could. I mean, there's a point in our country where we didn't respect black people as the population. So I mean, we're past that. So you got to go to. We got a calculator going right now. Or are we
I think so.
texting? Oh, sorry. I thought she was like, I'll fucking look at the percentage. But yeah, you gotta look. But I looked up a study that was talking about because black-owned business, and the only study I could find was 2007 through 2015. And when it went from 2007 to 2015, white-owned business, almost in every sector, because it broke it down by construction, by internet, by real estate. Real estate was the only thing that white-owned business increased. Every white-owned business in every sector decreased, and black-owned business increased by 15, 20, 30%, depending on the sector. And then it had Hispanics, and it was kind of funny that construction for Hispanics increased by like 400%. But it's increasing. And so the point I'm trying to make is, can we change it overnight? No, we can't change overnight. I mean, for what our country thought about African Americans going back to the Civil War and slavery and all that kind of stuff, but where we're at now, it's a huge difference, and we can't change overnight. But if you look over the last 15, 20 years, it has changed. We are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's
more equality.
Sure, I'm not saying that we're not moving.
It's a generational fix.
Right. I'm not saying
It
that
is.
we're
It's
not
gonna
moving in
take
the right
time.
direction. I'm just saying that we have. That's part of the reason why we have to have these sorts of things out there, is that we still need to change people's minds about this.
Yeah, but I still think we're not that far from it. Our parents were going to segregated schools.
Here's a
Not my parents.
they
Bureau.
didn't go to school in this country, so
Okay, listen to this. Bureau of Justice Statistics: 35% of state prisoners are white, 38% are black, 13% are the actual population. And yet we're going to say that there's not systemic racism involved. I mean, are we just saying
what law is putting black people in jail that isn't putting white people in jail?
You don't think that there's something going on there? That's what I'm asking.
No,
I mean, I think it's
That's absurd. It's beyond absurd to say that that's not the case.
Can you run that same? Can we find the same stat on socioeconomic status?
What do you mean?
Can we run the same? Can we run the same stat of percentage of people that are less the poverty level, median or upper income, imprisoned?
I would imagine that most of them are lower middle or low class, lower
Okay,
socioeconomic.
But
so the reality is
I-
that there's a history of wealth in the white community that is just there, and
You think it was just an accident?
no, it's not an accident.
Okay.
It's from fucking years of all sorts of bullshit, slavery to
it's
Jim
just
Crow
like
and
you
everything
wanna
after the fact.
leave a legacy for your children.
So why aren't we? But we're not fighting poverty. We're fighting racism. So if I mean, essentially what you just said is we're agreeing that it's probably more a poverty issue than it is a race issue.
I didn't say that.
Okay, but I would argue I would argue that at least I would argue that it is more an income issue than it is a race issue, because I would argue that committing crimes is more a result of your socioeconomic status than it is of your race.
Small petty crimes, yeah.
And so, okay, and I agree that that some of I would acknowledge, and I don't know how you would
These are
statistically
state
find it.
prisoners. This is not just jail. This is state prisoners.
Well, look up murders. Why does 6% of our population commit 70% of the murders in the United States?
I don't know if that's a correct statistic.
No, it is correct. Look it up.
You gave me the fucking stat. You look it up.
I've already looked it up.
Then show it to me.
It's
Tell
a
me where-
fact.
Oh, okay, then tell me where the fact.
But and I don't disagree that there are I watched a ton of true crime, or Jen watched a ton of true crime, so there are people that are wrongfully committed. I'm not denying that there are people that work against certain population, but even if you say 50%, you're still at 35%. Let's say half the people that are committed for murder are wrong. You're still at 35%. That 6% of the population commit 35% of the.
In 12 states, more than half of the prison population is black. Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I will acknowledge wholeheartedly that there is issues with sentencing being stronger for, and some of those parts of it, which is going to skew the stats in that direction for sure. But I would argue hard that it is more about money than it is about race.
I don't believe that either.
I don't either.
So how many white collar black guys are in jail
I mean,
for white collar?
You're
What do
asking some hard fucking statistics.
yeah, like
I'm just saying,
What do,
like-
what do you mean by white collar? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Here's my issue. I don't understand why there are so many folks that push back about this notion that there are folks in power that are white in this country that have no interest in seeing black people gain power.
Because I would argue that those same people don't give a fuck about anybody gaining power. They want to keep their power in their fucking circles. It doesn't matter. It's not a race or anything issue. It is a elite rich group of people that are playing their games to stay with a elite rich group of people. It's not about race. It's about their elitism in action.
I mean, we're gonna have to agree to disagree. I think that's the dumbest fucking thing you said.
Ever?
I mean,
FEMA's stupid.
it's probably higher than that, man. I really do. Like,
So you don't think that like the Bush family, the Clinton family, all this fucking repeated this generations of the same fucking families
do I think,
running and holding office over and over and over and over
let you
again
finish. Go ahead, I'll let you
are they're the ones that matter, and it's their groups of people that they give a shit about. It's the behind the curtain that the Kyle thing that bothers me, and it's all that same shit over and over again. I don't think it's a race issue at all. I think it's they want to hold their position and they want to keep their jobs. They want their what is it max $175,000 a year?
Yeah,
And they want to keep making that
$175,000
for as long as they fucking can.
Are you done?
Is it wholly racism? No. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just asking if he's finished, so I can respond. So do I think that they want to keep power? Absolutely, they want to keep power, but they would rather have a white person have power than a black person have power.
I would agree with. There's a lot of people out there that are like that. I don't disagree with that.
I mean that's what I'm saying, and it just
So
blows
just some
my mind.
random,
Can
like, I can
finish?
go be the guy?
Can I finish?
Okay.
It blows me away that we have folks that would just argue against that so strongly that they can't even consider that even might be a possibility. Like, I don't even understand that. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. That it can't be a possibility that there are folks that don't want to see black people in power. Like, I don't get that.
I don't
I
get
mean,
it either.
You don't get why people can't say that, or you don't get why people do that. Yes to both.
No, I agree.
I was
I agree
agreeing
with
to
that
you.
statement.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Whatever you just said, I agree.
Yeah,
like,
it-
I don't
it-
understand why people don't want black people in power.
And I don't understand why people get so emotionally reactive when you say that sort of stuff. It's like, it's okay to say that I'm not a racist as a person, just as much as it's okay to say that. And, it might be possible that systemic racism actually exists, that, like over half of the state population in those 12 states are black, when the population is not half black in those states. Like, if we say it's poverty, are we saying white people aren't in trailer parks? Like, there's a lot of
No,
fucking
they
white.
are.
Yeah, they're 100% in trailer parks.
But that's it. Just goes back to
Like the
why
shitty
does
ones, I mean.
why does everything have to go be about race? That's what I don't understand. Like, we always bring it about race.
I think it's easy for us to say that because we're white. Like, I really do.
I'm white privileged.
I mean, I think that's some of it. I do. Really, I do.
Like how, but the white privilege shit is fucking bullshit
Okay. I disagree with you.
to me.
But okay.
Like, so you got it in college? You went to UT because you're white privileged?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I'm just saying.
because
I
it's
didn't
easier
say
for
that.
a black person to get in UT than you.
I don't know that's true.
It's true.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Oh, Show me some stats.
Jesus Christ.
I'm serious, man. Like we throw this stuff around, and we really need to talk about it. Like these are real things. Like we don't have to get so emotionally reactive about it.
So me and Seth opening a business was because we were white privileged.
I didn't say that either.
What I'm saying is, where's my white privilege come in? My mom immigrated from the United States when she was 19 from Amsterdam. Didn't have shit to go on. Raised me, my brother, and my sister. Not shit. So we didn't come from money. We didn't come from anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm well off because of where I'm at, because of white privilege.
I'm not saying that. I think what it is it's we are viewed differently by society. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, I agree with that. I get what you're saying.
That's what I mean. Is that if I go out in a hoodie as a white dude, or I go out with a hoodie on as a black dude, those two perceptions are completely different.
So me owning a business and me being in my business and all this Black Lives Matter, all this white privilege, and all this shit has made me rethink, am I fucking racist because I think that? But like, I'll be in my business and somebody that walks in with fucking sagging pants, and I look at this guy and I'm like, he's a fucking piece of shit. And he's a white dude.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like, is he going to try to steal something over there? Is he going to try to do that kind of stuff? Because how he's acting.
Sure.
And I look at them, and then he walks out, pays for his stuff and leaves or whatever. And then a black guy comes in, and I don't have a problem with him. And it's like, it's I don't judge people on the color of their skin. I judge them on how they represent themselves.
Sure, yeah, as you should. Which is why we're all here at this table, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I'm just saying that's great, and I'm saying that more people need to think that way. Is all I'm saying, really.
But I just don't understand the white privilege.
What do we-
thing.
right.
I
Yeah, I
hear
think-
that over and over
I think
again.
some people
don't
look
understand
at
that.
white privilege as the white people got more. But I think it was Jimmy Kimmel that I thought put it pretty well. It was more that we didn't have it as bad. I mean, most
But what
white
are we-
people growing up couldn't go to the schools that they wanted to, couldn't get the housing that they wanted, couldn't get the home loans that they wanted to for decades.
But
Okay,
that's,
so-
but
decades.
that's past.
Oh,
We're talking about now.
A city
Right,
wanted
okay,
to put
so-
a highway going through the city. What neighborhood did they go to? Predominantly black neighborhood.
Because it's cheap.
Okay, so what
Yeah,
are we?
I agree with that.
So as we're sitting here having this discussion, what are we supposed to do with our white privilege?
Own it.
What the fuck does that mean?
Just means to acknowledge it. Like, just because you don't feel personally that you treat individuals differently because of their race doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so by saying that it doesn't exist invalidates a lot of like microaggression and minority challenges.
But so it does. So the
So
fact
Does
the fact
Michael
that-
Jordan need to talk about his black privilege?
No, that doesn't make any sense. So
What do you mean it doesn't make any sense?
So, hold on,
he
so-
is a very successful black person.
okay, so I acknowledge that my parents did well, and I had a good run with it, and that I have issues that other people don't have to deal with. I acknowledge that. Okay, now what?
You're coming back to economic, like you're coming back to more versus.
Just talk. You can do it.
You're coming back to what the point you were trying to make. Like, you're coming back to the idea that it means we have more versus it just means that we don't have some of the same circumstances or some of the same challenges.
Okay, right. And again, I fully acknowledge.
Yeah, it seems like the first
Now-
argument I hear is like, I didn't have white privilege. I grew up poor.
No,
It's
it
like
doesn't.
no
Okay,
one's
fine.
saying that white privilege automatically equals that you got extra cookies
and to
every
run
day.
the AC, what's the solution? What are we proposing here?
I think that okay. So
I don't know what white
I think
privilege
this is part of the goddamn problem. Like, part of the problem is we don't let each other talk. I think this is a societal thing. Like, this is part of the problem. Emotional reactivity from white people on this is a fucking problem.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Okay, no, I get it.
It is. I agree.
Like, it's a fucking problem. So that's step one. We listen to people and let them communicate. It doesn't invalidate the struggles that we had growing up by listening to somebody talking about theirs. Period.
Okay.
That's the first step.
Right.
Amen.
The second step is we have to engage these folks and then find out where are these motherfuckers at that don't believe this shit, like 100% don't believe at all that people in this position have had it rough, and those motherfuckers gotta go. Like, they gotta go.
Okay, so here's part of the problem with me right now and your version of this.
Okay.
Is these people are this vagary, and I think you're failing to identify not a specific person, but at least these people in XYZ of power, of some sort of authority who are keeping quote things the way they are, whatever it is. And that is my general problem with the whole thing. It's like we talk about these people, and it's this amorphous blob of things, and it's like find me one, and I'll be like, fuck that guy. I'm down with saying fuck that guy. It's fucked up. That's bullshit.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. But it's
May I provide an
this
example?
constant blob of things, because that was your gut reaction as we were just talking. Is that these motherfuckers? I'm pretty sure that was the right quote.
I'm going to give you an example. I heard what you said
Okay.
the first time you said it. I'm going to give you an example. So the guy that what was the asshole's name that put his
Trump.
No. It's good. What was the asshole police officer's name that put the knee on the neck?
Derek, Devin,
don't fucking know.
Whatever that
Darren
guy's
something.
name is. Okay. Do we think,
Chauvin.
whatever. Do we think that if that was a white dude, he would have done the same thing? If that was a person that if it was a white neck, would he have put his knee on the white neck? Do we think that would
Yes.
have?
I don't know. I mean, I can't. I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no either.
I don't.
So the reason
To
why,
say
the
that
reason
he
why-
did
I
that
understand.
because
the reason why
he's white or black, I don't know.
I'm not saying that this is the black person he needs to die. I'm saying that I'm giving you an example of you saying these people. I'm saying that I have to say, and people have to say these people because it's an ebb and flow situation. Like that guy may have had two black friends in his life, but in his mind he thinks that if there's a black person with a hoodie on, that is a different individual than a white person with a hoodie on.
Okay.
So it's difficult to just say this person is racist. Like Strom Thurmond was the last racist person that I know of, and he was a senator in South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
He died like 20 years ago.
And
So,
probably,
like, if
I
you're
think he
look-
got elected after he died too. But it was
Yes,
Iowa.
You're
I know we
100%.
talked about it.
No,
Right?
sure,
I
for
know.
sure. So, like, if you're looking for, like, if your problem is you need to identify these people, I'm saying that these things exist and they're fluid throughout our communities, and like they don't wear name tags. Like this is just as a theme. This is a we have to not assume that if there's a black person, not we as in us in this room. I'm saying that if there's a black person that's walking on a sidewalk, well, let's roll that fucking window up because that motherfucker might rob me. Like, but if there's a white dude and he's dressed in khakis, would we think the same way? Like, I don't know.
Well, how was that black person dressed?
Well, it's not even that. It's.
I mean,
Say if he has a hoodie on.
but the argument,
well, it's a white guy or hoodie or whatever. I mean, I think that the whole white privilege thing to me is why I have a huge problem with it. Is it's a slap in my face to me to say that I have white privilege, so I'm at the point in my life because I have white privilege.
That's not what's being said.
That is what's being said.
Okay, so that's not at all what's being said, man. Like that's how you're interpreting it, but that's not what's being said.
What is white privilege?
White privilege is we are not viewed the same way in society. If you have a black person and a white person standing together, and we are doing the same sorts of stuff. Like if I'm in a hoodie, I'm viewed differently than a black person in a hoodie. It's not that you are privileged and you got your stuff and it was given to you. That's not the definition.
So you're
of this.
saying that if I was a black person, I wouldn't be able to accomplish what I have.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying.
So then what is the white? I don't understand white privilege.
The white privilege is you haven't had to deal with some of the struggles that wearing a hoodie costs some black people. That's like the theme of that. Like you haven't had to worry about crosses being burned in your front yard. You haven't had to worry about whether or not people are looking at you like you're subhuman. You haven't had people look at you like, Jesus, we got to have a quota here, so we had to hire the black guy for our HR department. That's what I mean. Like it's not that you didn't have to work hard for the things that you've accomplished. That's not at all what's being stated. What's being stated is there is a like an approach or a philosophy or a theme that goes along with some of these individuals, and that has been a prevailing theme throughout the course of American history. Like these things do exist. There are people that look down on individuals. It's not taking away from hard work that white people do. It's that we haven't had to experience that sort of vantage point against us.
Okay, so
That's what I'm saying.
so to jump in, and I missed a second of that because I was on a beer run, but I mean there is such thing as in-group preference. Is that a problem?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
In-group preference? I mean,
I know. I need you to explain what you're talking
I
about.
don't know what you're talking
do you know what
I
I'm talking? I mean, you know what I'm talking about?
I need you to elaborate.
The
I'm
psychologist
asking the
knows.
psychologist if she knows what the reference is. If I'm making
we
up
don't have a psychologist in there, by the way.
psychiatrist. What?
We don't have anything in there.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm happy to listen to you if you want to elaborate.
There is such thing as in-group preference. It's
I
a
heard.
long-term. It is an evolutionary bias that's built in to us as human beings, and in-group preference is different is bad because different kills us, and it is built into our systems as human beings, right? And so if we're going to talk about the HR guy that is hiring A versus B, and whether it's an acknowledgement or not, that in-group preference exists in his Neanderthal brain that has been evolved to the brain he currently has. And so it's not a direct racist move, but it's going to be a racist move perceptually.
You're trying to use evolutionary psychology to justify racism.
No, I'm trying to use.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm trying to use evolutionary. Fine, sure. If you want to term it that way, that's
I
fine.
mean, tell me how that's not what you're saying.
But it justifies privilege, right? Because if the in-group
Right.
preference is
Right.
the
No,
majority,
right.
so-
Absolutely.
But not justifies. What you're doing is you're rationalizing privilege because you're saying that if you're using in-group preference, then we have a huge majority,
Exactly. That
Right,
is
which-
exactly what I'm saying.
which is
I'm
the
not trying
argument
to- I'm-
for privilege because you're
Right.
then privileged because there's this huge majority that exists. and
Exactly.
there's-
I'm not trying to justify things. I'm not trying to say it's okay to do or X, Y, or Z. I'm just trying to explain that there is a psychology to it that makes sense, and it's not a hateful version of. It's not an against
It is
thing.
privilege.
Right. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not at all trying to say that this is a thing that doesn't exist. I'm actually trying to argue for the thing that does exist. And again, to pull AC into this whole conversation we're having is how do you undo that? And the problem to me is, and the libertarian comes out here, is that how do we get the government to mandate this morality into individuals? Because that is a huge.
I don't think anybody's trying to do that.
So I was thinking about,
I don't think anybody's trying to mandate anything.
I was thinking about a lot what you
Right.
said about white privilege,
She gets me. I'm not crazy.
and that's the same thing as, if you see somebody overweight, and you could call it skinny privilege, or somebody that's
Explain to me
ugly.
how it's skinny privilege. I'm trying to understand that. Before I
No.
say that's wrong, I'm just trying to understand it.
Well,
Please define.
if,
I'm
if,
serious. Like,
Yeah,
if
I know. We get it. We make this joke all the time.
I mean, okay.
if you're an employer,
Fuck it.
right, and you have somebody come up to your job, and they are overweight,
Mm-hmm.
there is a stigma that you think that person walking up, whether they're skinny or fat,
Okay.
you have that
Idea that they might be lazy.
idea, something,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Okay. that's
or
fair.
whether they're smart or stupid or whatever. So there's a privilege involved in there of being skinny or fat or whatever.
Right. I
Right.
think,
I assume
And-
I
and-
assume
and
since
I
you're
know-
giant that
I-
you're stupid, and it's fine.
Yeah, and so I mean I know the argument is, well, you can't change your white versus black, or
Right.
you can't change your race. Where if you're fat, you can be going on a diet and be skinny or whatever.
Right.
But there's privileges because of who you are. I have a privilege. I won't deny it. Military. People will, when you say you're in the military, they're like, "Oh, wow, that's fucking awesome," and it may give you but in our life there are many privileges that we have, whether it's white, black,
Well, let's be fair.
fat, ugly.
There's
whatever.
privileges and disadvantages, or advantage, disadvantage. I mean,
think
it's
To
A B.
everything.
I think this is part of the problem. I think part of the problem for folks that are not actually racist, that are hung up on this word privilege, I think if the word was advantages, I think it'd be a little bit easier to swallow. So I think that some of this is a semantics issue.
Yeah, I follow that.
Well, I think it would be if they were saying that black people are disadvantaged for their thing, I think that's easier to swallow because when you say when you say you're white privileged, to me I'm like, how am I
Exactly.
because I'm white,
Yeah.
I'm privileged.
So parentheses. This is why I'm so big on fucking defining shit because like really we just had a goddamn 20-minute fucking diatribe about semantics.
Right. No,
It's
you're
true.
right.
It's true, but when someone says you're white privileged, it's like, how am I?
Right.
How am I privileged?
Okay.
And
Right.
from
I understand.
white person, you're like, what? How am I? You know, and there are people that are privileged. There are obviously people that they have 7 generations of millions of dollars passed on to them, and they fucking, own yachts and have hookers on their ship.
Right, but so let me take a step back then and say that as Caucasian males especially, there are advantages that we have that other people in the socioeconomic ethnic classes don't have. Like we have that. It is easier for us to walk into a place. It is more likely for us to walk into a place and be accepted than it is for a black man.
Is it easier for you to get in college than a black man?
I don't.
We'd have to pull the
I'd have
stats.
to pull the stats.
I got the stats right here. Hold on.
So I mean, I'm gonna. I mean, so to me the big picture realistic issue that we're kind of discussing right now is that this melting pot is not as
Melted.
as evilly diverse as we quote want it to be. The numbers aren't there. In-group preference is a real thing, and we can't there's because if you go into a certain subsect of a certain community, it's going to be all one thing because we self-discriminate or what's the word? I'm getting drunk enough that I'm losing words.
Congregate?
No, yeah, self-congregate, but what's the segregate? We self-segregate. We do that as people, and we do that as white people. We do that as white males. We do that as white females. We do that as black males. We do that as black females. We do that as Hispanics. We do that as X, Y, and Z.
I don't know what you're trying to say, man. Like I really don't know what you're trying to say.
My point is that we naturally do that. It's not an intent thing.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that.
Because it
nobody
goes
cares
back
about
to
that.
this amorphous blob of they, and it's just
not.
these days.
I just explained to you that they is not amorphous because if you want a person to walk around with a fucking name tag on that says "I hate Negroes," like we can't do that anymore. Like so, if the whole purpose is we got to define who these people are, I just said that.
I'm talking about this whole this. Okay, so we're arguing about this the definition of white privilege and whether it should be white advantage or black disadvantage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is the point is that we self-segregate in the sense that we can't. Oh fuck! I lost it.
Well, here you go. 60.
Do it. Right. It's right. It's
Privilege
not.
is
right.
you just have it. Like self-segregation is something that you more consciously or more actively do versus the idea of privilege. We just have it. We're just a room full of people with advantages or without the disadvantages that another group of
Well
folks
put.
have.
Okay, so looking up this, I screenshotted it. So, 68% of the population is white. 62% of the population are in college. Of white people. 12% of the population is black. 12.6% of the colleges are black. So we have higher percentage of black people to the percentage of the country in college.
Hold on just 1 second. So 67% of the 68% are in college?
68% of our country is white.
Right, okay.
And 62% of colleges are white.
Okay. So, and 12% of the 12% are in college.
12.6%
of the 12%.
Of the 12%.
Do we understand how completely opposite those ratios are? More than half of white people are in college. Way less than half of black people are in college. That's exactly what that's saying.
No, it's not saying.
It's saying.
Read
it again. Read it again.
68% of our population in the United States is white.
Okay.
62% of colleges are white.
Okay.
Total. Not
Okay.
60% of the white people.
Well, I mean, that doesn't matter. But
Right.
okay.
12% of the population is black.
Right.
12.6% of the population of the colleges are black.
Get in it, girl. Say something.
I feel like this is like it's like an equality versus equity conversation, right? Like equality implies that we treat everyone the same versus equity, which means that we give everyone the same opportunity to do the same things. And so if you're comparing like numbers to numbers, 60% of the population is this, so 60% should be represented here, or 12% of the population is this, so only 12% should be represented here. Like that's an equality. Like you're trying to say everybody should be. It should just be the same. Like these numbers should be represented, and like to reflect directly on their percentage of the
Right. This goes.
Population,
This
yes.
right. This goes back to a joke we made like episode like 4.
Well, let her finish. So,
So in reality, what like I can't even say that word anymore.
Privilege.
Like what advantage versus just like
Nah.
what the political versus cultural, like whatever like what the Black Lives Matter movement and what a lot of the systemic problems and the things that we're trying to change is not to create equality, but rather with the goal of equity. Like everyone should have the same opportunity to do the same things.
I agree.
Versus equality, everyone is just treated the same.
Exactly. So my point.
So the numbers would be different, is what I'm saying. Like,
My point is, if we'll break it down evenly, so 75% of the country is white, and 25% of the country is black. Let's use those percentages.
Right. Not accurate, but functional for conversation. Check.
And so when it comes to colleges, if 75% of the colleges are white and 25% of the colleges are black,
I don't. Okay, I get what you're after, but I don't.
then we're on equal, right? So there's as many white people and black people. We have equal, right? Does that not make sense? But that's not where we're at.
Right, but
there
that doesn't-
are a higher percentage of black people versus the percentage of population going to college than white people.
But that
versus the
doesn't.
percentage.
But that doesn't. I mean, that doesn't. That statistically doesn't mean that it is easier or. Right. That there's not a advantage given to. Yeah. I get what you're saying, but it does. Those statistics don't say that. Don't show that there. I mean, it's for example, I guess it'd be like maybe there's some certain group of high schools that are predominantly black that are somehow doing better in teaching those students to make them more prepared for. It doesn't equate the issue, I guess. So I'm getting at it doesn't.
How does it not equate the issue?
Because-
If you have an
because
equal,
again-
so you're saying, so what
Okay,
you're
so-
saying is
okay,
there
hold
should
on,
be
hold on,
more.
hold on.
There should be a higher percentage of black people in college.
No. What I'm saying is that okay. So we joked about this a bunch of episodes ago about how we should give Brandy half of our employee of the months because we want to equate female to male
That's real fucked up.
female to male employee of the monthness.
We're making a point out of that, though. Right?
You know what I'm saying? And so we made the joke on that because she works 5 hours a week when everybody else works full time, just because of the way we work things out. And we joked about it in the sense that, you know, we want to be equal to women, so she needs to get half of the employee of the months because we only have one female employee. And so the statistics are saying that, what you're implying in the statistics are saying that there is some bonus given to black kids to get into college that may or may not be there. But the statistics don't prove your point is all I'm getting at. The statistics say there are more black kids getting into college, and that could be because the families are pushing for it harder than some of the white families. That could have been
No, yeah, I agree.
There
with
could be
you
1,000
wholeheartedly.
reasons behind that.
I could say, yeah, I agree with you.
Right, but my point was that all started with you were getting on AC about it was easier. It was harder for him to get into UT than it would be for a black kid in the same situation. And
Well, no,
your
that
statistics
was,
are
that was a little while ago.
right, but that's what you were looking up the statistics for. Am I wrong?
No, I had that saved.
You wanted
No,
him to
no,
look-
no. It was that.
All right,
I wasn't.
You wanted him
Now
to
you know
look
how
it
I
up.
feel.
I'm the drunk idiot. Okay, check.
No.
No.
When I brought that up,
Fighting to fight now?
No.
when I brought that up was not when I said you have an easier time. We're talking about white privilege. Okay, so you left. We moved on from white privilege, and I was talking about how there is not a divide in white people versus black people.
That's only because you're white.
She's agreeing with
She
that.
jumped in and she knows exactly where we're at.
I'm just saying, only people can be colorblind are the ones that are not on the side of being judged by their color.
Here, jump in here.
What?
You say, "Oh, I don't see color." That's only something a white person says.
I've never
Because black people are not as good as you?
No, any other color is going to have some sort of, by default, they are not the majority of the population of the planet, right? Well, maybe not anymore, but the point being, here in the United States, we are how much percent white, how much percent other colors?
68%.
Even if we're going 50-50 with white and all the other colors combined, right? You will be a minority in your ethnic or color category.
So what does that have to do with anything?
You're always going to be part of the minority.
So what does that have to do with anything? Being a minority?
Have you ever heard of a culture and a counterculture?
No,
So-
I'm just saying. I'm saying.
I'm
what,
getting to that.
What does have to be a minority have to do with anything?
That's good.
Well, do you want my answer?
Yeah.
You've heard of a counterculture and a culture, right?
Yeah.
You have the mainstream. The things that go against the mainstream are part of the counterculture. It pits the two things against each other when you see it as otherness. Period. Since we have the majority being white and a minority being these other subdivisions, right? No matter what, this us versus them is going to feel like an overwhelming tide against a much smaller group. They don't think of themselves as United Brown People of America.
So me being white, I hate black people. That's what you're saying.
No.
Because I'm part of the majority.
No.
No one is
That's
calling
never what I
you.
said. Do you know what I said? And you didn't hear? I said
I
it
did hear.
feels, from their perspective, feels like being ganged up on. You know why? Because it seems a lot like it.
So,
It doesn't mean
so
it has
it's not
anything to do with the
accurate.
shit.
She's not actually talking about you at all.
No, okay. I'm using the hyperbole of you, like the grander version of you.
No, I get it. I get
as
it.
in the word one. One should, one does, one whatever, right?
But I'm part of
if
the
you'll-
majority.
If you'll allow me to finish my thought, it was basically that no matter what, when you're in a room full of women, you feel like a minority, don't you?
Well, I am part of the minority if I'm a real full woman.
Now, when people point it out constantly, and then you feel even more awkward, right? Because you're in there with a group full of women and they're talking about things you don't care about, the things that don't affect your life, things that, you don't find appealing and
Yes.
or, right? Now imagine that, but being judgy because you're not as good as. And that being the overwhelming feeling in the air all the time in your entire life. It doesn't have to be that you hate people or that you're hating on them actively. It's that they are surrounded by the feeling of being judged and underappreciated and shoved into the corner and out of the mainstream and off kilter and not inside the box. And they're dealing with this psychologically all the time, whether you put that pressure on them or not. The world has. Not you.
Right,
The
okay.
world. It's an overwhelming force,
So I
as in
have to
the
feel-
culture is not you. You aren't the culture, but we all make it up.
So because I'm part of that culture, I have to.
Oh, what? Because I'm black? I can't. You gotta stop doing that. That can't be your only freaking fighting thing.
I didn't
Okay,
say.
hold
I
on.
didn't say anything
Hold
about
on.
black.
Four times in a row.
All right.
I
hold
didn't
on.
say anything about black. I said because somebody else
you have
is
weak
that.
skills in fights. That's all I'm saying. You can't
What?
just call something back and throw it in my face and pretend like that's a good reason to volley.
I didn't say. You didn't even let me say anything. What was your objection to what I just said?
Because all you're doing is assuming that everything I say only applies to you. I've never said that.
That's what we've been at for a while now. Yeah.
I am not calling you out by any means. You, yes, individually, you, whoever your fake name is tonight, comma, are a great human being. I've never seen you do a thing that was disparaging to a person of color. I do not know you so well that I could outlyingly say that you have never once said the N-word jokingly as a rap lyric in a song while driving down the road. But by no means do I think that you're the type of person that consistently, throughout your daily life, goes around hating on people of color just because they are colorful.
Right. So that's
Now,
what,
those
okay.
two things are the extreme ends of our culture. You fall somewhere in there. I'm not saying you, as in you are the reason why people are being hated upon, but you are part of our culture.
right. So
I agree with you.
Right.
And
Our culture.
we go with the flow, right? And we allow things to happen and be in the zeitgeist, including things like the N-word, right? The word is disrespectful on every level when being said in any other way. than being reclaimed by a group of oppressed people. Yet, white people still think it's funny to go, I can say the N-word now because I have a black friend. That right there doesn't feel like oppression, but in a tiny way, what it's doing is saying, I'm taking a tiny bit of your power back. I'm taking it back. It's mine. I'm going to put it back in my pocket.
It's a microaggression.
Yes, and so what I do is I use things like the word cunt or the word bitch, and I say, no, that's my word. And anytime I hear somebody say it, I do it. You know why? Because we should. Why not?
I'm trying to bring back cunt
No,
because
what I
they
am
use
saying
that in
is
Europe
that
all the time.
the more you pay attention to your speech,
Especially,
the
Australia.
words you use, the more you realize they have weight. Whether you think so or not, and you think it's funny to use racial slurs or, gender slurs or whatever, that helps keep that aggression in the air. That helps permeate it through the rest of the culture, making the counterculture feel that much more counter. End of story.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be your overt actions, but you're ignoring other people's actions. That's all I mean.
Right, so again, okay. So
You are a good human, by the way.
So right, this again.
I agree with that.
I think this is the point. The point is that
we have the same fucking birthday, for God's sake.
You have a really
same
weird
day,
little
same
really
beard,
do.
year,
but
It's the
other
same
than
year and
that-
everything. We had that. We had this last time on the show. We were joking about
No,
it.
I said 64. His was
That's right. You're older than me.
74.
Point.
Oh, 44.
No. But the reality is, and I think what we are kind of getting around to is that it's
complicated.
absolutely. But
Nuh-uh.
in the current stance, and it's hard. It is hard to not take it as a finger in your face. And it's the point is it's not in your face. It is the reality of the world we're sitting in. Is that it's not you, and it's easy. But I'm wholly on board with you on this one, Max. Is that it's really easy, and I fall into this trap too a lot. And it's really easy to go. They're talking about me. And this is where we've joked about. It's like, well, like if I'm a racist, then I guess I'm a fucking racist, whether I do anything about it or not.
Well, yeah, that's the problem I have. I've only made what I've made in my lifetime because I'm white, and that's
Right,
the
but
way that's the way it makes me feel.
Right. And
It's not going to change. It's not going to change that by you saying that I have white privilege. And
Right,
I've
but-
only done this because
you-
of
You're-
what,
no, but you're
what
not-
I've made is because I'm white.
But nobody
And
said that.
Yeah, but you know in your heart of hearts that is not true, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right,
Then
exactly.
that's all
So-
that should fucking matter.
right. So the thing is,
But that's the problem when I hear white privilege. You're white privilege. You're white privilege. You're white privilege. And it's
Right,
like,
and in-
my fucking mom came to the United States
No,
when
but
she was
hold
19
on,
from
hold
fucking
on. So
Amsterdam.
the instance-
Like, poor as shit.
The instance-
My grandfather had his first bath on the ship over in his whole entire life. Never took a bath. And like you tell me I'm white privileged. That's the problem I have is when
Right, and you're not-
I'm grouped in with the white privileged.
right, and it goes into one of the genius things that you said and forgot. We have this box game that we play, and we shove everybody in these fucking boxes. And as long as they're in their fucking boxes, we know how to deal with them. And you don't fit in the box of the white privilege box. I don't fit in the box of the white privilege box. X, Y, Z. All these boxes don't actually apply to everybody that we try to shove in the fucking box. And so, again, I'll go back and I'll pull the AC again. I acknowledge my white privilege. What are we doing? What are we doing moving forward?
Okay, part of it is we have to have this conversation without having folks feel like that. None of us here at this table is saying that Max is not a hard worker. And nobody is saying here at this table that Max didn't have things that, I guess Sam over there, he was just joking.
Sam's like, fuck that motherfucker.
Right.
I
And
think-
and Sam saying that and Max is signing his fucking paychecks.
Anyway, I think that is a good first step. Is that we can't get past that to address some of the systemic issues that we need to talk about, because we can't progress past this idea that somebody is telling me that me and my genealogy haven't worked hard for what we've done. So these two things can exist at the same time. It can
Right.
be that my family has worked super fucking hard, like harder than maybe the average person or family genealogy ever could have. And that can exist. And it can be that there are folks that can work as hard as we have, and for reasons that are embedded in our culture, they can't progress to the point that we can based on this sort of racism that does exist underlying, is what I'm saying.
No, and I understand that. but it's slap in the face for me, because there are. I mean, if you just go off the percentages, which we don't want to do, obviously, talk about percentages, but there's more African Americans by percentage that go to college than white people.
No,
That's
but
Yes.
that's not
against their percentage of the population,
Their
yes,
percentage of population.
right,
There is
but not against the total population. Right.
no, and but you have to go off of percentages. You can't go off of total, because anything we go off of total, you have to look at percentages. You have to look at percentages of black people, white people. Like, you can't say that. It's the same argument that is when white people say, well, there's more white people killed by cops than black people.
So-
Yes, by a number that is correct. By a percentage that is fucking false. Because there's more white people, there's more black people by percentage of the population that are killed than white people. Because cops have more interactions with white people than have black people. And you can't go off of numbers. You have to go off percentages. So when you go off percentages, the fact is there's more black people by percentage that go to college than white people.
As a
It's a fact.
percentage of the population, right? That the percentage versus the percentage of the population, you are correct. I get what you're saying. I think to kind of put the grand theme in here is that there's not a. I think I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for you in this. Is that I think what's happening is that you are taking this personally, and it's logically personally. As far as the discussion's sake, and it goes back to a lot of shit that we bitch about the media stuff for, is like, we joke around about, like, the media tells me I'm racist, so I might as well be fucking racist and act like it or whatever. And I think the reality is that we have groups of population that are fighting against groups of population, and we're running stats and we're running numbers and we're throwing percentages out, and we don't identify with the conversation. I don't identify with this conversation. The conversation we're having, yes, but the national conversation, I don't identify with it because it doesn't make sense to me. Just like I think where you're sitting right now is that all this conversation, all these terms and phrases that are thrown out all the time, I don't identify with that. I don't identify with the idea of white privilege. I don't identify with the idea of this, that, and the other idea. I do get behind the idea of white advantage or white disadvantage or black disadvantage or whatever that we've kind of shifted the conversation to tonight. I get behind that premise. That makes more sense to me. But in the larger cultural conversation that we're having right now, it's really easy to go, they're talking about me. And that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm so, like, I don't know how to sit in this box that is being painted for me. And it's what do we do? It's like, okay, I acknowledge that these things exist. And I acknowledge that these people are out there. But without a target, it's hard to, like, I mean, especially if we're going to take the Black Lives Matter movement, for example, if they can't give me a target to help them with, I don't know what to do. Because we could take the specific of the cop in Minneapolis. We could take this specific here. That's a shitbag. He should be thrown in jail. Fucking kill him. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But when for me especially when there's the systematic issue, the phrase systematic, I have a hard time with, because it's like, well, what system are we talking about? Are we talking about the in-group preference system? Are we talking about we're talking about the police as a whole system? Are we talking about a law in the books that is specifically written against a group of people versus not in a group of people? That's where it gets really fucking dicey, because the problem with me in the phrase systematic is that means there's a system. That means there's something specifically in place that is not only being acted upon, but being propagated to the future. That there are people that are training other people in whatever group this is to continue doing the way they are, specifically against a minority group.
You don't think that happens right now?
I don't know, and if it does, it needs to be fucking beat up, because I don't. I like.
Okay,
So you're telling me. So what I'm supposed to understand right now is that there is a training police officer who is I'm sure there's a fucking mountain of paperwork and a mountain of testing and all sorts of shit they have to do to be able to train other cops. That there's a cop that is training cops to go out specifically after black people. Is that a thing that exists?
Eric Chauvin, the guy that is on trial in Minnesota for the death, was a training officer. Trained, I believe, 2 or 3 of the people that were there with him.
So that's a fucking problem.
Hell yes, it is.
What he did.
Right, but
I
again,
agree. I agree. It's a problem.
Again-
but like, do you think that that's a majority of cops?
it's not. No,
Like,
it's not even that.
that's-
It's not even that at all. It's
Nobody's
that. Is
nobody's saying that.
No, but that's
Did his superiors know that?
Probably. I mean, if
Then,
I'm guessing.
right. Then those are those people that you've referenced earlier, and
Yeah.
that we need to figure out.
I agree.
And
100%.
I think it took fucking 45 minutes of this bullshit to get to
Well, I mean,
those
if we
people.
can get the KKK to stop wearing masks.
I don't give a shit about the KKK. They don't fucking matter.
Yeah, they do.
Not really.
They matter.
are they?
How many people have they killed?
Here's why they don't matter. They don't matter because we're white.
No. Like what big Klan rallies have you seen around the United States?
They're in Louisville. They march all the time.
Okay, but I mean, what do
They
they
really
do?
do.
Other than
Like they do. Like that's a thing.
and
I-
hoods and
yes.
all that shit.
right?
Yes.
And it's, and
Then
it's
we need to go up there and go hunting season.
Fuck yes, I'm totally with you. Like
no. I mean,
I'm with you.
but freedom of expression and shit. I mean, fucking whatever. I mean, are they? What are they?
I'm just saying, if they
doing?
want to do it, fucking be all and out about it.
But it took
Don't
us-
wear a hood. Let us see who the fuck you are.
I think
I agree.
what the Black Lives Matter movement is looking for is 40 minutes later. It took us 40 minutes to get past the concept of privilege that everybody was so emotionally reactive to
Okay.
even get to how do we talk about affecting the lives of people, right?
Okay,
Like, and so that's what the movement is asking
Right,
for.
and
so
we're
that's the,
we're still
But
still
the-
continuing to
but
talk about.
the question is what when you say Black Lives Matter, what is that movement?
What is the goal? Like what do they
Like,
do?
like
Who are
the,
we? What do you mean?
the what's behind Black Lives Matter? What is their ultimate goal?
So a couple initial things. I think asking. I'll answer your question, but let me get to the first part first. Okay. I think asking a question like that is like saying, "What does the Republican Party stand for?" Well, I don't know anymore. Just as much as I don't know what the Democratic Party stands for anymore. And so just
So you
what-
say
let-
you
let
saying
me-
that?
Can I finish?
Okay.
So I think part of an issue with trying to define what the Black Lives Matter movement is it labels everybody in these boxes that like I don't feel comfortable being Republican or Democrat because I don't think that label's important. But to more directly answer your question, I think if we're trying to go down the road of labeling and trying to figure out what it is that they're looking for, or individuals who associate themselves with this movement, I think that they're looking to have a conversation about there are certain disadvantages of being black that exist in American culture, American society. And we have to talk about these issues even if they're uncomfortable, especially if they're uncomfortable. And I think that is a general theme, is a large overarching part of what this movement is looking for. Now, are there idiots that are allegedly in this movement that are looking to, have violence and riot and that sort of thing? Sure, just as much as there are far right.
There's always people. Yeah.
There are idiots in every single group.
Well, I was talking to a Marine buddy of mine. I don't know if you were here when we talked about like shit that went down with brothers unfriending brothers because of the Black Lives Matter and stuff.
Right.
And where it gets lost is a lot of white people hear Black Lives Matter, and what they hear is only Black Lives Matter.
Right, which is not what they're saying.
They're not saying that. They're not
Right.
saying
Sure, 100%.
only Black Lives Matter.
Correct.
And then you have your white people that are like all lives matter, and they're like,
Like,
we're
yes,
not
they do.
saying
Correct.
we're not saying that only Black Lives Matter, but that's what they hear. They hear
I agree.
only Black Lives Matter.
I agree.
But I really wonder what the agenda of the Black Lives Matter movement is.
I think
You know,
that,
and,
I think that's,
and what you said about like, well, define the Republican Party. What does the Republican Party stand for? I think that is a 100% accurate statement, because I don't know what the fucking Republican Party stands for. I don't know what the Democratic Party stands for. I don't know what Black Lives Matter stands for.
I think
And that's the thing, is it's so
it
diluted.
means something to a lot of different people of that.
Exactly.
I mean, same thing with the mask thing. Some people think it's against their constitution. Some people think that the virus is all a hoax. It all means people pick their little kind of corners of the pie of any disagreement
Are you saying
and
that
go on that.
the coronavirus is not a hoax?
No, it's something
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying it's not a hoax?
Yeah, I am
So-
wholeheartedly saying that the virus is not a hoax. That was one thing I did want to bring up. I saw an interesting stat that it was done. I want to say it was 60 to 70% of people said they had heard of a, quote unquote, and I didn't realize I hadn't heard some of this, that do believe that essentially the coronavirus was done by the government per se. And-
Our government or a government?
China. It's from China.
I don't know if it's specified, but they thought it was essentially,
China.
just kind of like a higher power
It came
type,
from
type thing.
China.
But
I
of
mean-
those 60 to 70% of people that had heard of this, supposed, conspiracy theory, 30% found it to believe absolutely true or most likely true.
That it was a hoax or that it was
That it was, I think it went, and I
China.
It
It was made in China.
It went so far up to Bill Gates. I think it went down to there was going to be microchips in vaccines. I think
Bill-
that may have
heard
been
about
what
that
it was
one. That was
focusing
Bill
on.
Gates
That's real.
developed
So-
it.
Yes, and it all came down to Bill Gates. And I was
kill
like, holy
people.
shit, I have not heard of this.
Let's
I've heard
And
of it.
a third of Americans of,
Sam,
of
you're
those,
the champion for getting us to change topic. Jess, you win.
let's take a step back. I want to come. I'm gonna take a step back for just a second.
I tried to do
We-
a
Come on,
semi
AC.
segue, but
Yeah,
I was trying to put in the Black Lives Matter. I think it does mean, I don't think Black Lives Matter has one core.
Well, I think one of the issues.
Black Lives
value.
Matter
It-
is
I think it
linked
does mean- I
to
mean, I
the
think-
coronavirus
Hold on,
in
hold on.
China.
Okay,
I think
okay.
someone
That,
bring
that
note-
is a fact.
Okay, hold on. So real quick.
I wasn't talking.
So we talk about the we talk things getting
I was.
politicized. We talk about things getting politicized, the masks and coronavirus being fucking one of them and all that kind of shit. And it's the Black Lives Matter thing has been politicized over what it's trying to do at the same time is that you got fucking mayors allowing murals on the road, specifically on the way to the White House, in front of Trump Towers in New York, all this little kind of side bullshit. And so, to give credence to the dumbass people who think it's a full hoax, is that like you can watch the different parties that play do these fucking stupid things that turn it political, whether it's supposed to be or not. That's all I was trying to say. I'm sorry to interrupt, Sam. Please go back to what you were saying. Never mind.
What I was trying to say was, in my view of the Black Lives Matter, I think it does. I think there are different facets of it that some people, hold heart to. I think to some, they want to, bring in more of the voices of, Breonna Taylor, people that most people don't know their name, and that's their main cause right now is say her name. Is that these things are happening all across the U.S. And as much as we want to say the media glorifies these different things that happen, a lot of it goes unreported, and we never hear about these things.
I agree. Breonna Taylor's the Louisville one, right?
Breonna Taylor.
Yeah. She's the one to me that I extra hate cops for, but
It's cool. It's
That's
cool.
the grossest-
It's cool to have a hot chick on the
Thi-
podcast,
This,
though.
this
you know?
is the goal of
But I
Black
mean,
Lives Matter.
right.
Like
If
the
it's
fact
some
that
of
you
that,
have
some-
5 white people in a room talking about.
yeah, Jim's around here somewhere. Jim's a fucking ass bag, but he's here. That's him chattering outside. You can hear him.
Damn it! That's
Like-
the goal. Is have us talking about it.
It's
Fuck
to
it.
talk
We're never
about-
talking about Black Lives Matter again. If that's the
They
agenda. They win.
A lot of it is to bring just reflection in general.
yeah.
You pulled the mic up like you were going to say something.
Well, so going back to what you were saying, Sam, about the dumbasses that believe that this is a hoax, I want to take a step back for a second and acknowledge that it's taken us 45 minutes to sort of wrap our mind around this sort of thing. And as much as we joke around with one another about we're all fucking dumbasses in here, we're not actually dumbasses, and yet there are dumbasses that exist in this society. They'll never get to this 45, 60-minute ending point where we have some general vague idea of what this is supposed to mean.
Right.
And so it's frustrating to me that this whole thing may be philosophical masturbation anyway, because people are not actually going to be able to connect the dots on this stuff.
I mean, we might.
Oh, I will disagree with you on one point.
You don't philosophically masturbate?
No, I am definitely a dumbass. Like I don't.
Okay. Anyway.
So
That can be a good band name,
the other
too.
people maybe are not.
World
but
tour, definitely a dumbass and mental masturbation. What did you say? Philosophical
We're doing band
masturbation
names tonight.
on
Sweet.
tour this fall. It's
All right.
Fire special.
That was a fun episode.
Right.
We can go on. I don't give a shit. We're at 2:10 right now.
Hey,
Wildlife
you know
lives matter.
Wildlife.
No, they don't.
Listen.
Actually,
No,
they don't matter at all unless
you
they're
wanna
on a
kill?
fucking
All of
biscuit.
them.
does matter.
That's right.
You're right.
Right.
Wildlife
AC,
is an
you know how much
important
shit
part
we're gonna
of
kill
our
this year?
ecosystem.
Hopefully, fucking everything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is episode 18 of
Mental masturbation.
Almost in Agreement in the books. Listen to my fucking song again.
There we go.
Fuck
there
you
we
guys.
go. There we go.
Good night, everybody.
There we go.
We've got, what do we have this week?
Eddie Manis.
Eddie Manis is coming in on Wednesday. We're going to do an interview with him. He's an interesting one because he was kind of a half Paula. He kind of jumped parties, and I'm curious how that all kind of breaks down. So anyway, listen to my song again. Fuck you guys.